All right, all right. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. And I sound good. I can hear myself. See, let me check my mic settings. Yep, mic settings are consistent. So we're good to go right now. Let's see, what are we gonna do? All right. We got three in the building. D Scott, Joe's, and Hermes. Uh and Winkler. Okay. Y'all hit the like coming in. Prince, Volcanus. What you doing up, Toya? Hey, yo, what's up? Don't nobody say shit. I'm listening. What's going on? All right. Uh, Dr. T, what's up? If you wanna join me at any point, Dr. T, just holler. The Haitian, what's going on? Ryan Glenn, Oz 21, 21st. Be about peace, what's going on? This is just a really off the cuff. It's kind of late, but I want to go ahead and get this out of the way while I got time. And shout out for Dr. T for allowing me to share this. I don't want to step on his toes. But before we get started, you know how we do. We got to play a couple things, okay? In case there is a complaint.
I'm done. I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done.
And secondarily, if you're here,
What's up, boss? You believe that? You hold on. Oh no. Do you believe in that? Huh? Oh no. Ah! Oh no. Come on. Do you believe?
all right, had to get that out the way. Shannon Green, what's up? Michael Turner, what's up? Henderson Bancroft, what's up? Vern Davenport, the geek surgeon, what up, man? I ain't seen you in a minute. I ain't seen you in a minute. All right, let's go ahead and get this rolling. Because while we here, and get this out the way, because it's a 30-minute video, and
That the game
30-minute video, and I want to react to it, so it should take roughly an hour, give or take. So we'll see how it goes. See what? and ain't that the person who trashed Dr. Welsing? She could be. Yeah. That part I didn't see. That part I did not see. So that's very possible. Anyhow, like I said, people say she's not an intersectional feminist. I tend to, I've had that a couple times. But I tend to not to agree. I think she is, but that doesn't mean all intersectional feminists are crazy, and that doesn't mean that they're all the same. And she has a very particular reason for saying what she's saying with this. Okay, very pragmatic. So she's in politics. She's deeply embedded in politics. So she has to be pragmatic. But we'll go ahead and get into this. She did a great job on this. I agree with her. I agree with her. But there's a very pragmatic reason for why she did this. So let's go ahead and jump in, and I'm gonna give my reaction to it. Okay. She's been saying this stuff for years. Yeah. Well, because it's true. She's not the only one.
is to blame black men, right? And the game is to divide. And like we have all these little underbellies of people who play into these gender wars. They're all over the interwebs playing into these gender wars. They're all knuckleheads. But if you know that the end
See, the thing is, they're all knuckleheads. Okay, playing into the gender war. She's talking about the black manosphere. Okay, that's the key right there. Um, she understands it. She doesn't approve of it, and she, that her and Antonio were a little bit of intellectual snobs, so they look down upon it. So, but that's to be understood. Okay, so with that in mind, that doesn't mean that she's not pragmatic.
Game is to kind of blame ADOS men, especially for whatever the violence may be, then that tweet is irresponsible. Regardless of what you said to Jared Ball, that becomes an irresponsible tweet. But she said something else too that I
Well, you know what? Dr. Curry doesn't particularly care for the black manosphere either, so that's not unusual. So whether she had him on or not, just because she's intersexualist doesn't mean she doesn't necessarily have crossover with Tommy.
that really kind of she put up another tweet that really kind of made me think, because then she brought up Steve Bannon. And the person that she tweeted was basically saying, they were basically saying, I get what she was saying because I get Steve Bannon. And Steve Bannon was basically in their interpretation. So you can look up the tweet. I'll leave it alone. You look it up. In their interpretation, Steve Bannon was saying black people, or black men specifically, need somebody to look down on. If you can, support is conditional on you doing something else. So and she brought up trans people and said, now we're getting black women to look down on trans people and engage in transphobia. And I'm just like, what is she talking about?
In other words, basically, she's saying, in other words, intersectionalism, as they see, has gone way too far. In other words, it's got to the point where it doesn't make sense anymore, even for her. Okay, that's really what she's talking about. I've seen, and I've gone and being in the pro-black sector and being a conscious community and something like that. You see this stuff, and it's a point where people take these theories way too far and too far out. And what she's saying is this woman's gone way too far left. That makes sense.
Like that's not what's happening at all now. And if you
Y'all
even
hit
if
the
you
like
say
button.
that's what happens, you have to then go back to the Democratic Party and say, don't they do that with black women? So if Republicans are playing a game with black men, and I believe they are currying favor and they are trying to play a game. If they're playing a game with black men, aren't Democrats playing the same game with black women? And don't we have to?
Yes, they are, and she's right. They're playing. In other words, everybody wants something, and the game is the game, right? So why would you expect that the other side, as they call it, the opposition, not to play the same game? Okay, the black women are like Democrats are innocent, and they don't have an ulterior motive. That's what she's saying. See, she's pragmatic.
To offer the same critical lens for both groups of people. Why or why not, ma'am? Because here's what, just to give you all some context in terms of Bannon, he said a couple
Yeah,
of
hit my
things, and I
like
just
button.
want to give the proper political context in terms of what he said. So, he said the Democrats, the Democratic Progressive Party cannot rule if they don't get 90% of the black vote. If we cut into the black vote, if we make it 80-20, we can win 100 congressional seats this time, Bannon said. So he's saying that, like, listen, there is an opportunity to peel away these voters, especially black men. And this is something he said a while ago. This was in a tweet. African American males are also another central part of our, this is Bannon, of our coalition. And you wait, we're going to get 50%. We're going to get 50% of that vote in 2022. And once we do that, we can govern for 100 years.
And he was overreaching, but the thing is, he the Republicans didn't actually go after it. They didn't believe him. So maybe kudos to them, or fortunately for us, I don't know which one it is. But thing is, there was an opportunity. He saw it. Okay, he saw it.
Right. So he has a play for the not.
Elzina, why should I interview her? Review her interview with Tommy Curry. What is the what really is the point, or what is the what value is it? Okay. Anyway.
Oh, not he understands, and it's perfect political thinking. If the Democrats are playing for black women,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if you are the Republican Party, your play is for black men or ADOS men who have. That's a politics. That's a play. That's what you would do. There's nothing nefarious about that, except that neither party is trying to offer us anything worth anything. That's the most nefarious thing, not the fact that, oh my God, these Republicans trying to steal or trying to take away black men. But one thing that nobody or none of these people who keep talking seem to understand, right? One that they don't kind of seem to understand is what ADOS men in this country are doing in terms of their support for Republicans. Now, I agree with one thing. We are way
What up, Pimp God? Come in, God in the house. You up late? Okay, buddy, checking your traps.
too reflexive. It's either Democrat or Republican, and we jump out of hot pans and into frying pans. And
You love Trump. Why do you love Trump? Okay, this, as you know, that's one reason why I don't like domestic politics is because people tend to like them like sports teams. A lot of stuff people say doesn't make sense. I don't love any politician. They're there to represent my interests.
into hot pans and out of frying pans and into pan. Hey, it's hot over there. I'm gonna jump out of fish grease into chicken grease. Well, I just don't know how that's gonna work out for you, Hotfoot. I just don't. So we are very reactionary. In terms of how we do things. That's a problem because sometimes you have to build a third way. Sometimes you can't be reactionary. Right? So, if you can't be reactionary, you have to find a third way. So I get all that. But nobody is thinking about why. Because that's the question that you have to have. Why are if we would agree now, I would want to take out. I would like to see a study, and it is funny. Antonio and I talked about this. I would like to see a study of how many. I want to break out different groups. Like let's break out Nigerian Americans. Let's break out Haitians. Let's break out Haitian Americans, who especially the ones who just got here. First, we should break it out first generation second. Let's break out a lot of these people and see how they vote as opposed to ADOS people. But even if we just talk about ADOS men, what we have to talk about is what they are doing in reaction to a political system that they don't view as serving them. This is not about anything else other than why aren't you wondering, instead of saying, and instead of putting up that tweet, and I find that tweet offensive because you cannot, if you cannot compare a group of men who are incarcerated at the highest level of any other group in the world and say then that we're the police. No, they are not. Like, how can you say, well, black men is the police? You can't say black people are the police, but you certainly can't say man or woman, but you certainly can't say, looking at the incarceration rate of ADOS men, that they are the police.
Exactly, and exactly this fantasy. That's fantasy, and this is not unusual. Gigi was just talking about Teresa Crenshaw and her intersectionality, saying that black men were the most abusive men in the United States, according to domestic violence rates. And at the time, the study showed that black women actually abusing their men more than any other group of women. In fact, they were actually abusing the domestic violence rates of black women toward black men was actually off the charts. But you're making whole theories off of fantasy. This is the same thing. How can black men be the police when they're the most incarcerated? Doesn't make sense. Well, really, it's an out and out lie. And that's the whole thing. That's what black women and black people won't call these things like out and out lies. We call it, well, that's not true. You're not looking at the facts. No bullshit. It's an out and out lie.
They are policed. They are not the police. And you can play with that group because the group has no power. And instead of interrogating what being powerless in America means and what kind of political reaction you would have with being that powerless in America, nobody's currying favor to them. At least Democrats are talking about black girl magic. They got everybody walking around with Kamala. They are at least playing to your ego, even though they don't give you policies. They are not playing to ADOS men at all, except to call them stupid and say that you don't need anything and say that you just don't know enough of how to vote or whatever.
Yeah, in other words, what she's really saying, she doesn't want to say it, is what the Democratic Party is doing, and black women especially, saying black men ain't shit. You're not worthy of anything.
Right. it's just very dismissive, and that kind of dismissiveness in party politics in terms of policy and in terms of rhetoric has a consequence, but nobody wants to talk about that part. And let me just bring up another part. How in the world do you nominate Joe Biden to be the Democratic nominee for president, given what he did in terms of mass incarceration and who mass incarceration impacted the most, which was ADOS men, and then say, why are you thinking about voting Republican? You took the man who did the worst to this group of people, and you decided not only are not we're not going to punish him, but we are going to nominate him, and you doggone well better vote for him.
Yep. Yep. And say like shout out to C Boogie, who I'm not particularly fond of. The nerve of these niggas, right? The nerve of these niggas. I said the same thing. It's him, and this is who you get behind. I'm not. It is what it is. He was the guy, and he was in the spot. But black women did not say shit. They did not even address this. Okay, they said, well, that's in the past, and look over. When black women do shit that's foul and fucked up in their past, and they're trying to ask you for something. Well, that was, I've changed. I'm like, the first thing, he's changed, and that was in the past. I was one that actually played the speech of him um, uh, uh, asking for the crime bill. Okay, have him and basically calling George Bush Senior a pussy for not passing it. Okay, actually paid his speech in Congress. But guess what? Nobody said anything. Well, Yvette is very sharp as far as politics, right? She's pragmatic. You know, she's pragmatic. She said, this is stupid. She said, this is stupid. How can you throw this in black men's face and expect them to accept it?
You cannot do that as a political party or as a group of people and then wonder why this group of men is not feeling you. That's part of the reason so many of them fall, so many of them fall to people like Tariq Nasheed and the underbelly of YouTube because they don't feel like anybody speaks for them. So they find the biggest knucklehead in the world sometimes. Not all the time. We know most men aren't watching this because we know how many million ADOS men there are in America and we know what the views are on these shows. But what I'm saying is everybody's gonna go find a champion. I'm just telling you. People are gonna go find their champion. It'd be the wrong champion, but you have to ask yourself, what did you do? What did you do? How did we get here? Now, I want to bring up something else. Because this is important. I want to go back to, I don't want to do, we do a lot of recent studies, and I appreciate that. But I think sometimes what happens is that we forget the past. Like nobody, people say stuff like nobody could anticipate what happened to the ADOS men, and nobody could anticipate what they was going through, and nobody could anticipate what was going to happen with mass incarceration. Joe didn't know. Nobody knew. So let me bring up.
Oh, yes, they did know. Oh, they did know. In fact, I remember they were the conscious community and the black nationals against mass incarceration and the crime bill. And that's why it's so difficult. That's why it took so long to pass because the crime bill didn't just uh, start in 92 trying to push for it. It started in 88 because California started the three strikes law in 88. So basically, uh, we had already had a taste of it and we knew what would happen, but they didn't care.
This is just, I'm going to bring up another part in a second, but I just want to bring this up really quick. Because I hate that argument. Nobody knew. Mass imprisonment. Now, this is like 2004, this study. Right? Mass imprisonment and the life course, race and inequality in the U.S., in the U.S. incarceration, Now, this is just the abstract, and I'm going to go to another little quote real quick. Although growth in the U.S. prison population over the past 25 years has been widely discussed, few studies examine changes in inequality in imprisonment. We studied penal inequality by estimating lifetime risks of imprisonment for black and white men at different levels. Don't y'all miss that? Well, you could find a study sometimes just had black and white. It didn't have everybody else. Nobody said need to say black and brown. Nobody needed to say black and Latino. Nobody needed to say none of that. I mean, we could just talk about. It really is something. It really is something. Combining administrative survey and census data, we estimate that among men born between 1965 and 1969, 3% of, now understand, don't rush past this date. 1965 and 1969. Now, this was in 2004.
Y'all hit my like button.
This is a study from 2004. We estimate that among men born between 1965 and 1969, 3% of whites and 20% of blacks had served time in prison by their early 30s. The risks of incarceration are highly stratified by education. Among black men born during this period, 30% of those without college education and nearly 60% of high school dropouts went to prison by 1999. 60%. Let me read that one more time because y'all didn't hear me. Among black men born during this period, 30% of those without college education and nearly 60% of high school dropouts went to prison by 1999.
They already knew because they were talking about the school to prison pipeline in the mid 80s, okay? About the third grade assessment test. Okay, they had already been talking about it. So they knew. Not what they had already started building the prisons. You can't send people to prisons that aren't built. Okay? They had already started planning them and started building prisons way before the crime bill even hit.
So you're seeing a majority of black high school dropouts go to prison. Those are majority ADOS men. That's who you see getting locked up. 60% of the high school dropouts get locked up. That's 1999. Tell me who didn't know. They absolutely knew. They put this thing on roller skates. They threw gasoline on the fire. The novel pervasiveness of prison indicates the emergence of incarceration as a new stage in life, in the life course of young, low-skilled black men. So what they're saying to you is that this has become part of the life stage. This is one of the life stages that ADOS men go through. Now,
It's also reflective. It's also reflective in your rap and your hip hop that going to jail was just as part of what is it? A manhood initiation. Okay, I know in California, especially for the lower level guys, man, going to jail was a rite of passage. It really was. Even more than having sex with a female. Going to jail was part of a rite of passage in the streets, man. Back in the 80s, back in the 80s and early 90s, it had become that. It had become that in look at the NWA, man. NWA in jail, right? Okay, that had become part of the lexicon.
is expected. Low skill ADOS men, it is expected. And you know what they did in terms of immigration? Not only did they say, well, we're going to put you in jail and it's expected. And if you low skill, 60%, if you a high school dropout, 60% of y'all going to jail. We're going to import, when you talk about immigration, we're going to import people in here are going to be competition. That's going to make your opportunity dwindle even more because you already got a record, baby. So we put you in jail. Right? And then we're going to import some low skilled workers to compete with you. So what do you think your outcomes look like? I'm just asking. This is an old study, 2004, and they're talking about by 1999. This is an old study. Everybody knew. Stop telling me somebody did. They did. Well, I don't know. Could have been. No, they knew what the outcomes were, and nobody. And the thing is, nobody cared. Like nobody's heart was broken for black men. People did not give no care. I'm sure their mamas cried in the courtroom and all kind of stuff. But I'm talking about as a community, we did not care. This incarceration rate proves we as a country and as a community do not care about ADOS men.
In other words, basically, and this is what I was trying to say in my other video about disposable people. Okay, okay, black men have always been considered disposable. And the intersectional feminists and intersectional uh, ideology for black women to elevate themselves, they treated black men as well. They did as disposable, man. All the drug dealers, all the hood boys. Don't think them drug dealers just got out there by themselves just one day. I'm gonna just deal drugs. No, the women actually encourage that shit. The mamas actually encourage that shit. I can't tell you how many uh, young boys, teenagers sold crack and drugs out of their mama's house. Okay, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that with their permission, and not just lower class women, upper class women. I can't tell you how many times a girl I was talking to asked me, "Why don't we go into business, start selling crack, start selling drugs? Because you smart." All right. Anyhow,
And so if you're going to talk to me about ADOS men being the white people or being the white, or why they going to be the Trump, talk to me about why you and why we as a community never cared about them. Listen, we don't even talk about what community means. We talk about the black community. I saw a tweet the other day. Well, a woman said, the brick incident showed me that we don't really have a community. The brick incident showed you, and when a woman got hit in the face with the brick, and mass incarceration didn't show you that we don't have a community. You didn't show up for a whole set of men who were warehoused in cages, and you want to talk about one lady with the brick? Now, I'm sorry if y'all don't believe shit. Nobody with a brick. I don't want to get hit with a brick. I don't want to see nobody do it. You should not. I'm against these kinds of violent incidents. But what I am saying is that nobody's talking about what community looks like. And nobody's talking about what it means to be in community with somebody.
In other words, basically, that's why I call her pragmatic, and I think her experience leading the reparations movement, which is highly political, right, about how you govern people, okay? And what she's taught about is how do you put a community together? It's one thing to talk about an ideal, right? But the thing is, how do you put a community together and hold it together? You have to give people something, you put something in. That's politics, that's community, that's any kind of social contract, right? That's what she's talking about right now. How do you govern people? No matter whether you're on top, no matter who's on top, how do you govern people? Okay.
So you wait a minute. You don't show up for all. You got all these ADOS men who got in jail for weed. All this stuff wasn't rape and just running around shooting people. That's not all. People are in jail. People got locked up for nonviolent stuff. People got locked up. People were innocent and got locked up. We're seeing a lot of those exonerations now. You didn't care. You
No.
didn't care about that. But you want somebody to shout to the rooftops about the brick incident. You want to talk about when even people talk about marriage and couples getting together. And women, I can't find no man. I can tell you what cell block he's on.
Yep. Yep.
But it's just being in community. And I said this during Dr. Kai's when I was a doctor at St. Stephen's. Like, being in community is supposed to mean something. It means we show up for each other. It doesn't mean you show up when you want this guy or this man to show up and put his body in the way of whatever danger is coming your way, but you don't want to show up for him when society decides that he and people like him are going to be warehoused in jail. When you remember, there was this, oh man, I wish I had thought about it earlier.
In other words, disposable, right? You don't care. Okay, they're not to be worshipped. They're not to be held dear. They're not to be concerned about their feelings or their outcomes or any kind of fairness. They're disposable. You don't care when you don't care about the candy wrapper when you throw it away. Okay, it's there to serve a purpose to be discarded. All them cats that sold drugs, all those cats that did anything in the neighborhood, all those cats that did anything, right? Um, who remembers them, right? They're discarded, they're homeless, it doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. Okay? That's not a community. That's not a community for people. Okay, your community is supposed to help you with something. Community is supposed to elevate you. That's the whole reason it's a social contract. Anyway, D. Scott, thank you for the contribution. Anthony Simpson, thank you. And Lewis, thank you for the brioche. You ain't shit, Lewis. But continuing.
Y'all remember that New York Times article that came out and talked about there's a whole swath of ADOS men who are just missing. It's like they vanished and they're either dead or in jail. It's like they were taken by aliens, and we're not going to show up for that. We make excuses for that. Oh, they must have done something. You know, they should have got a job, and you could work at McDonald's or whatever.
And alpha your way through it. That's what it is. In other words, we're not here to help you. That's why I believe in SYSBM, right? Save yourself, black man, because it's always reflected back on you. Okay.
But we don't want to talk about that part. Let me just continue. Let me just continue with a little bit of this study. Imprisonment and the life course. It becomes a part of the life. In addition to increasing race and class inequalities in incarceration, mass imprisonment may mark a basic change in the character of young adulthood among low education black men. From the life course perspective, Prison represents a significant reordering of the pathway through adulthood that can have lifelong effects. Consequently, the prison boom, like other large-scale social events, affects a historically significant transformation of the character of adult life. This is I mean, this is this is I don't even know.
And then this study is from 2004, 20 years ago, right? Guess what hasn't changed?
I don't even know. And I hate charts that look like this, but this is the way the chart looks. But you got to pay attention. This is white men, and this is first prison incarceration. But look, you have to look to the right because that's point four. You see, point four, point 6, point 8. Now that's white men. Now I want to if you want to know, it says if you want to understand what it is percentage of men admitted to prison for the first time. The solid line, percentage of men admitted to prison for the first time. And incarcerated is that broken line, blacks and whites. Now you see, when you look at this, when you look at these lines for white men that goes all the way from 1970 to 2000, you see that's point 4, point 6, point 8. Now I want you to look at the right side of when we look at black men. It's not point anything. It's two. It's look how it's just it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You see this is cataclysmic. This is cataclysmic. Percentage of non-Hispanic black and white men born 1965 to 1969 experiencing life events and surviving to 1999.
And basically these studies have been, these studies are consistent. This is not the first study that said this, right? The thing is, you have very smart women that are in positions of power, running for office, that look at these things, right? In criminal justice, that look at these things, right? Nobody says anything. Nobody says anything. If it wasn't for the manager bringing this shit up, nobody would say anything.
I want you to look at. I want you to look at black men, and I want you to look. White man is the first, and black man is the second row. Prison incarceration. Look, 6% white men, 31.9% black men. Just I want you to think about that and think about the context in which we're talking about showing up for people. The context in which we're talking about community. The context in which we're talking about who to protect. The context in which we are electing the architect of the crime bill to the highest. I mean, why? Understand, why in the world, let me take this down for 1 second. Why in the world would anybody think that ADOS men, after experiencing the brunt of this, having friends, if they didn't go to jail, they had people, somebody got locked up. What part of your mind says that man owes the Democratic Party anything? Bringing him and nominating him to be the leader of the party tells them everything they need to know. We ain't even got to, honestly, like, do you even have to talk about anything else? Do you even have to have any kind of a...
Willis, can you stay focused? Okay. Instead of trying to interject bullshit, okay? Can you stay focused?
additional conversations? See, part of the problem is we don't understand what disadvantage looks like. There is some kind of thing that makes it like that ADOS men, that the masculinity and physical strength means that you can't be disadvantaged in this American life. That's a problem. Let me go to this next one. Because this is some horrific stuff. Now this is another study. I just want to go. We're not gonna go. I just want to go through this real quick. Declining employment among young black, less educated men, and the role of incarceration and child support. Now, here's the thing. Everybody knows if you have a baby, you absolutely, man, woman, you are both responsible for that child. Right? But there was a consequence I'll just let the study talk to you. So look at employment. We're talking about the percentage. We're talking about jobs, right? Employment population rates for males 16 to 24 years old, 1979 to 2000. I told you I'm just going to go back. I'm going to go back. I'm going to show you this ain't nothing new. So I want you to see the dates right there, right? Now, I'm going to bring it back so you can see both of them at the same time. Hispanic, black and brown, but look at the employment. I want you to look at the, remember this is employment population rates for males 16 to 24 years old. I want you to look at how the Hispanics are right up there close to, and how they eventually they be right there with the white folk, right? Getting better and better every year. White is blue. That broken line at the bottom is black. So when you talk about men and you talk about jobs, that's what you're looking at. Now this stays, you have an uptick. It looks like in like 1989, and then it goes back down. And the one thing I want everybody, listen, here's what I don't want you to do. Don't get in your emotions about this. Like, I want you to get used to looking at things and not having, looking at policies and just seeing the policy for a second and thinking about what that policy did before you say, well, they should have went to jail, or well, they got to get the child support. So if they can't, no, just look at the policies, because what we're talking about is outcomes. We all agree that the child needs to be taken care of. We all agree that nobody would, certainly not me, see a Adolf woman trying to take care of a child and somebody done scooted off.
In fact, I think I had a video. There was a couple of articles. I did a video maybe 4 years ago about most of the black men being incarcerated for lack of child support, uh, made less than $10,000 a year. And instead of helping those men have better outcomes, they were sending them to jail, which makes no sense because it didn't help the kid, didn't help the state, and definitely didn't help the man. They take his license, they take his, give him a record, and then he'd be unemployed or unemployable. It's just a vicious cycle.
And done start a whole new life somewhere, child. And she over there trying to take care of a kid. Because that used to happen back in the day when you couldn't find nobody, child, he went for cigarettes and he left. So we all want the family, the kids to be taken care of, but we have to think about policy.
Most of those pack of cigarettes folks were white men, believe it or not. That's how come AFDC was actually passed, because during the Depression, a lot of white men, uh, took up with a pack of cigarettes, saying, I'm going to go look for another job, and never came back. So that's where it came from.
Outcomes. And think about how, like, stuff happens in our community, and the government says, ain't gonna be no fix for it. We ain't gonna be no fix for none of this. This is policy, because you can give people, just like we have the earned income credit, there can be other credits too to kind of help subsidize certain things for low wage earners. I'm not talking about somebody who makes good money. We're talking about here low wage earners. So let's just continue right here. This is a very similar chart. But this, hold on one second. Raise males. Oh, the other one. This one we just did was ages 16 to 24. This is the one we just did. This one right here is ages 25 to 34. Looks very similar, right? Looks very similar. What you're saying is you're not having better outcomes because you're older. Like,
It's this is neoliberal expansion, right? That's why I played you that clip by Girdles, right, about the neoliberal agenda, right, and shipping jobs out of the country and needing to control a certain populace, the undesirable populace. So this is right in line with it. They didn't have jobs for these people.
you are not seeing better outcomes. You're not seeing more employment, right? And so they get into, like, let's talk about some reasons why that might be. So the results show that employment and labor force participation rates among young white and Hispanics, less educated men, are fairly comparable with one another. So Hispanics and whites are doing about the same. This is years ago, and they're doing about the same. How will they, fam? Let me just say. Hold on a second. Let me just come out of this for a second, because I got a rant for just 1 second. How did we ever, when you look at that chart? Let me come back to this chart. When you look at this chart, I'm going to put it up in the corner. or put it up in the corner. When you look at it, look at both these charts. How in the world? See how? Wait a minute. Didn't the black line go? The black line went below the thing. What? Look, when you look at these charts, how in the world? And you see Hispanic men tracking with white men. How do we ever come up with Hispanic and brown, Hispanic and black, black and brown, Hispanics and blacks? How do we ever come up with that? They tracking what they supposed to track, especially as people ain't been here longer than us. That means America is working for you. If America is working for you, your name don't never need to be beside my name. If America's working for you in a way that it certainly ain't working for me, Hispanic and black don't need to ever be beside each other in a sentence.
Basically, what she's saying is something that the black women ignore all the time, right? Okay, because black women compete against black men so often for power in the community, right? And they step over black men, and all you're doing is giving money to other communities, and you wonder why your community is not getting any money. Why? Because if you take money out of your man's pockets and food out of your man's mouth, guess what? He can't feed you. That's what frustrates you, right? There's limited thinking. Continuing.
Not ever. Not even in terms of none of that. Don't never need to be aside of nobody. Don't never need to be here. Why in the world? Like, what was the failure in our academic sphere that this was allowed to happen? There is no sameness here. You get to
Exactly. That's what she's in the academic sphere, the people that should know better. Exactly. That's what we're saying. And that's why that's why the series that Gigi's doing on Teresa Crenshaw, where there's this philosophical split happened. I mean, really happened, like on steroids. Okay, that's why it's important. Why did it happen? Because there was no there was no basis for it. Okay, there was no results in reality for that split. It was made up. That's what she's saying.
immigrate here at some point and then still be with the white people. You are white.
Yeah,
We get to be here
Latinos
400
are
plus
white.
years and we still stuck to the bottom. And that's where your men are right there.
Disposable people. What did I say in my video? Right, stuck to the bottom. Right. The permanent underclass, okay, the designated underclass, now the permanent underclass, stuck to the bottom. And that's where she didn't say that's where the women are, she said that's where your men are, okay? Disposable people.
So let's go to some of the stuff they said about it. The results show that employment and labor force participation rates among, we saw this right there, fairly comparable to one another. But these rates among comparable young black men have lagged behind those of the other two groups over the entire period.
What do black women have control of? 4 out of 5 black politicians are female. Okay, your judges are female, your teachers are female. You have control of the children. What do you have control of, Felicia? What do you have control of in this country? You have control of the people, and especially intelligentsia. 70% of your intelligentsia are black female. How come ain't no paper? How come it's always white people have to write the fucking papers? Huh? You read the same shit. Because I talked to, you know how many PhDs I talked to, and black women purposely hide this shit? Why did they do that, Felicia? Huh? Huh? Why do they do that? How come it takes black men to speak up when the black manosphere gets shot down for speaking up about this shit, but black women, even though it hurts them, refuse to say shit? Why is that? Because they're just like she can speak out, and she's one of the few. How about all them politicians that line up, running for governor, running for mayor, running for office, running for senator, running for Congress? How come they don't say shit? Huh? Felicia, I'm wondering. How come they don't say shit? That's what they in control of their mouths. Basic intersectionality came from Teresa Crenshaw. She's black. That's one of the dominant political themes in this country. How come? What do you mean? What are they in control of? Come on now. Okay. Salty Balls, appreciate you. Cornelius, appreciate you. Expansion Wireless, appreciate you. Dar, as always, appreciate you. And I do believe D. Scott, appreciate you. Anyway, continuing.
period. The entire period. Employment rates for all three groups show some cyclical movements with decline in the early 1980s and
Oh, Kimberly
1990s for
Crenshaw,
each.
I'm sorry, Doc.
Cyclical movements in the labor force participation are less pronounced. It is just the most ridiculous thing. During the 1990s, employment rates among white and Hispanic young men stabilized after declining somewhat in the 1980s. These declines have been analyzed elsewhere and have been attributed to the declining real wages experienced by these groups. But the declines experienced by young blacks are greater during that decade than for other groups of men, and they continue during the 1990s. If anything, the decline in the labor force activity for black 16 to 24-year-olds is greater in the 1990s than the 1980s. Your life gets worse.
Moynihan called this a social crime back in 1965 when he printed the Moynihan report. He said black youth unemployment was high, like 50%. He called that a social crime back in the 60s. They know what the fuck they're doing. It's not new.
So black men are watching their life get worse. Okay. Despite the stronger economy of the latter period and higher attainments. Now hold on one second, of young blacks. Now see, they said a good economy. So let me say something about that. So they said even with a good economy, these ADOS men did worse. They didn't get no better. So if that is the fact, a good economy and their outcomes were still trash, why should an ADOS man go somewhere and say, I'm going to vote for Biden because I care about the economy? Because that's what they say. You should vote for Biden because you care about the economy. What they know, let me tell you, a lot of what's happening with ADOS men is they are intuiting things that they can't necessarily explain, but they know it don't make no sense. Things do not get better for them when the economy just does better. So if that is the life that you know, that things don't get better for me, and the data proves that things didn't get better when the economy was better. So just because there was a good economy and everybody said things were booming, with this group of men, life did not get better. So how in the world now can you expect to come to me and talk about something as general as the economy and expect me to say, okay, that's enough for me to vote for Biden?
Didn't we say that to Stacey Abrams when she was asking for the black male vote? She said the exact same thing. Okay. And we had people on, the so-called the blue crew saying that we're supposed to vote for it anyway because we're going to get something out of that package, right? And we know, guess what? It was bullshit. Okay, it was. And we asked, what specifically are these policies that you're getting ready to pass that's going to help black men so that we may give you our blessing and vote for you? It never came. Okay, they got mad at us and they started using sign language. That's what she's saying. This is just she's very pragmatic. She's very pragmatic.
You have to come with something very specific. You have to now earn the vote.
What about the black men in the CBC? See, this is what I'm talking about. If it's always about the black men, Felicia, then why do we need you? Why do we need you? Why do we need to even vote or mate with or even socialize with black women? If it's always we got to do the shit. The vast majority of the people in there are black women. Why do we need you if you're not going to do anything? Why would she side with you if you're not going to do anything? I'm asking. What is the point of siding with black women if they're always going to say you got to do it yourself anyway? What's the point? What's the point? What's the point? That's what she's saying. If you're not going to serve us, you're not going to side with us, what's the point? Okay? What's the point of siding with you? And guess what? The CBC, they keeping their mouth shut because they're threatened, right? But for their jobs, what's the point?
Of ADOS men, and you're not doing that. What you are doing is diminishing them and ridiculing them. And people keep thinking that's going to fly. I just don't see it happening. Let me go to another one real quick. With regard to child support, the growing establishment and enforcement of child support orders tends to raise the expected value of the order against non-custodial parents by raising the probability that any such order will have to be paid if one has regular earnings. Furthermore, these orders constitute a large tax on the earnings of the low-income non-custodial fathers. Child support orders for low-income non-custodial fathers are in the range of 20 to 25% of income. When combined with payroll taxes and phase out ranges for food stamps, the marginal tax rates on these men are often high as 60 to 80%. If non-custodial fathers are behind in their child support, states will garnish up to 65% of their take-home pay to cover their child support payments, which is the federal limit on wage garnishment for debt purposes. So when you think about a policy outcome that may
Okay. Uh, she thinks we can articulate our worldview, but she underestimates what's happening in the underbelly of YouTube, namely the the that we've been crafting our own vocabulary and policy ideas. Yeah, because guess you know what, Doc? Black women think that they're smarter than us, and we're stupid. Them black women in office mean nothing for my bottom line. Okay. In other words, so why should we back them, Felicia? That's the question I'm asking. You didn't answer my question. And that's what she's saying. If you're not going to do anything for us, and you're not going to help us, you're not even going to advocate for us, then why are you here? Why should we back you?
that may protect the child, and 65% of your wages and you are low income is a lot. So when you wonder why you're not in the labor force, what's the incentive of being in the labor force? So you may say, well, maybe the father gets access to a larger amount of food stamps and a larger amount of government help as long as he stays in with his child support. But you had to, what you were supposed to do, what this country was supposed to do when it found that low income men were being taxed at 65% sometimes for child support, the country was supposed to step in. You don't have to take nothing from the child. See, people give us false choices all the time. Well, if he got to pay it or else the baby go without. No, we have other ways that we can help him help his child. Right? We have other ways that the government, we've always figured out, and we do it through the custodial parent has some things that they can get through the taxes when you file, stuff like that. Good stuff. You have to figure out a way to incentivize work. And if all the money from work is going here, that's great, but somebody got to eat. So what happens is you come out of the labor force, you find a different way to eat.
Yep. You know what that means? We should find a different way to eat. Enough said. Okay. And then where do you wind up when you find a different way to eat?
Policy is supposed to answer some.
You want to come up, Felicia? In other words, basically, she's saying she's being very plain. I don't know why they disingenuous. You're not doing shit for black men, okay? And you don't deserve their vote. And if black women or any office holder, I don't care what color they are, aren't doing anything for you, then they don't deserve to be there in your name. Period. It's really simple. It's not that hard. If you're powerless, you don't need to hold office. Because just by holding office, you have some measure of power. Look at Baltimore. Most of the city council and most of the school board are black females, right? Why is it the worst outcome of black boys probably in the nation? By the way, we don't have any power. Come on now.
Of these questions. But the problem that we run into.
Yeah, they did it.
The real crux of this whole thing is that people have decided that the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, everybody has decided that ADOS men are not old policy prescriptions that help them, right? We will talk about, as we rightfully should, we should talk about ADOS women and maternal health care, and we should talk about how, ADOS women have the worst outcomes, the third world outcomes in terms of childbirth and things like that. Those are things that we should fix. When we talk about ADOS men, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about ways to fix their life. We don't talk about ways to improve their outcomes. We just started talking about mass incarceration, but that's only one thing. It's an extremely important thing that nobody dealt with. And so you have to talk about it. And the solution, even if you talk about mass incarceration, is not just letting them out. Because when you let them out, you're gonna let them out into our community. They're gonna be back in ADOS communities when you didn't give them no skills, you
Yep.
didn't give them no psychiatric
Yep.
care, they don't, because they didn't get to go see a therapist. Like, what is it like to come out? Your child was 2 years old when you went into a cage, and he's 22 now, and running up. He was like, Dad, when he went there, he ran up on you now. What's up, Pop?
Yep. Anyhow, that's the end of it. But yeah, in other words, basically, it's not rocket science, man. It is not rocket science. Uh, and what time is it? We get about an hour in. I'll let it go for an hour. What she's saying is not rocket science. I don't know why it's a mystery because we do the Republicans the same way, right? Y'all should vote Republican, vote for Trump. Okay, homie, give us your give us your deeds. Okay, what's in it for us? Why should we vote for you? What do you got planned for us? Well, they're not Democrats. What the Democrats have done for you has nothing to do with it. Okay, if it's a protest vote, we can stay home. What's in it for us? Why should we vote for you instead of vengeance against an ex? Doesn't make sense to us. But nobody wants to do it because guess what? It's so bad between the Democrats and Republicans that they don't have to offer you shit. They can get away without offering you shit. And they wonder why the black manosphere is growing. They wonder why this sector is growing because guess what? Just like Felicia said, when it always reflexively comes back down to you, okay, then why should we participate in the community? Why should we, like the passport bros, why should we keep our money here? There's nothing in it for us, okay? You're not in it for us. You're not doing shit for us. Why should we elect black female politicians that are actually going to do what? Perpetuate female power, right? And step all over you. You don't do anything for your sons. You don't do anything for your husbands. You don't do anything to get the men up off the streets and get them training and get them back in the workforce. White women. Why do you think Trump got elected? Because poor white men weren't working and they got tired of it. So guess what? They went against the Democratic Party and elected Trump because Trump said he was going to put their men back to work. That's why they did it. And just like she said, the main proponent of the crime bill, okay, you hold up some 20 years later, some 30 years later, and push him out as the savior to the black community with black women in tow. And black men are going, really? Is this what we're doing? You just gonna cover this up? Anyhow, I said a lot of what I had to say in my pre-recorded. Yes, you did. Yes, you fucking did. Because you talk about the men and the black men in the CB, the Congressional Black Caucus. Okay. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. It does come back down to that's what you did just say. Did you mention men and women in the CBC? No, you mentioned the men. It does come back down to us. It always does. Stop with that. I can read. Okay. If that's not what you meant, you should have typed it a different way. I can read. I read. I damn near read for a fucking living, right? Or very complex stuff. So if that's not what you meant, type it a different way because I can't read your mind. This is still evil twin summer. So do not come up in my place with no bullshit because I will not be kind. Okay.
I said, do you see? Like you see, even black women can't even tone it down in the chat.
No.
You know what I mean? They all like you. It's like y'all walk around with an attitude. You can sense the attitude and the hostility in her comments.
Yeah, that's why.
I mean, a perfect example.
That's why she got the energy back. Okay.
Oh, but not even the fact of that perfect example. And I love it. Like I said, when I see women like her.
Hold on a second. Okay, yeah. Felicia, bullshit. Okay.
Right.
Bullshit. We can read.
Right. We can read that shit.
We can read that shit. We're not, baby. I am 64 years old. I am not your junior. Okay, I can read.
You.
Okay,
I'm damn near 50, and I done seen that bullshit all my damn life. And all the thing y'all do is come up with the little bullshit like that. Well, here's the question: do something.
Yeah,
I said you want the man to be 6 foot, 6 figures, 6 this inches, 8 this, do this, and go ahead and do all that shit. What the fuck are you around for then?
Yeah, but your first 3 baby daddies didn't have none of that shit.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like we fools, okay? We're not playing today.
And I got and now think about this. You got to add that to the list. 6 foot,
Uh,
six
you
figure,
talk about
six,
you talk
and
about
you
you
got to
talk
go
about you talk about the men in the CBC, baby. Okay.
right.
I said what I said for a fucking reason because that's what she said because she was not speaking to the men in the Democratic Party. She was specifically speaking to black women in the
Black women.
Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
The intelligentsia because that's who her compadres are, right?
Mm-hmm.
She she is not a separate from these people, right? She's one of them. She's talking to her folks. She wasn't talking to black men. She was talking to her compadres that are in these democratic circles that are being promoted and pushed out behind this bullshit. Okay,
Oh, no,
that's what
and
she's
BGS.
talking to. Go ahead.
No, and BGS, I'm gonna just say this, and to go to show you how she's inferior to us men because she won't click that link and come up here and say something.
It's I don't give a shit.
No, but I'm just saying. No,
It's
remember, like you show
it's
you are
it's
inferior.
it's probably best for her not to be up here because I will not be kind. Okay, so it's best for her to stay down where she's at. Anyway,
What's
go
up,
ahead.
everybody?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put the timer up because we got a lot of people up here. So we're gonna let me go ahead and put the my 2 minute timer up. So we
Oh,
don't.
you
Leon could
about
go
to
ahead of
go?
me.
Go ahead, Leon, or whoever's next. Go ahead.
You know, lately people have been talking about black guys looking to the past and reading history. And one thing that it shows,
Mm-hmm.
even when you look at the 60s, is we did the work and everyone else got the benefit. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it was the Irish, the Italians, the Jewish, fucking hippies, the any war people, the Italian socialists. You go forward, we're doing the work. Well, Boston and black guys were doing the work. And the same talking points when they, Pitt chose the women used the same talking points. So it shows through history that we did the work, but we were always replaced with
Mm-hmm.
women.
Yep.
So this whole do the work thing is really to guide y'all forward, not us.
Mm-hmm.
It's to sacrifice continuously sacrifice black men because the world takes notice when we die or something bad happens to us, and it affects America, and that's when they make change. But it never trickles down to us truly. We get tokenism. Even though I can sit here and say I have a good job, I would love to go against the system like I used to when I was a teenager. But I have a son now, so I have to play by those rules to raise him, and that's the fucked up thing.
That's scary too. That's scary, isn't it? Tell us how it is like having a son.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish your
Yeah,
thought.
I would love to sit down and I was talking to my mom. She was like, they can unionize. I was like, Mom, Amazon, Walmart, those places, those they cannot. They'll just fire those people, and they'll give somebody a position to where they sit down and shut the fuck up. That's what's been happening for the last 30 years. Enough tokenism gets people to shut up, and enough PhDs change, the ideas of the people that brought forth whatever. Usually, what happens.
All right. All right. Okay.
You
That's
know,
this 2 minutes.
really,
Who's next? Who's next? 2 minutes.
it was gonna be me because I had let
Okay.
Leon go.
Go
Real quick, I just want to address Miss Felicia. BLM, right? BLM is a prime example of what we're talking about. You have a group of people, namely women, who are the face of a movement that was built off of the blood, the lives, the memories of black men, right? And in their mission statement, they go as far as to poo-poo black nuclear families, and pretty much dismiss everything heterosexual, but their entire movement is built off of the dead bodies of black men. So that's a really good example of what we're talking about. The entire black movement in America is mainly built off of the sacrifices and the deaths of black men. Although black women are the face of black politicians, they're the face of pretty much any type of black upward mobility, quite frankly, in this country. So that's a pretty good example of what we're talking about. So when you say the CBC or some handful of black token Negroes that are scared of the black women that they make money off of, check Dr. Umar Johnson if you think I'm lying. You know, I don't know if that's a really good example. Black men in the CBC or black men like Barack Obama, you know, I just would direct you to any speech he ever gave, kissing black women's ass. So yeah, you I think you know better. You're just trying to make excuses because you just don't want to accept what we're saying and what Yvette said. And I'll pause right there. Y'all go ahead.
They always make excuses. They always it's never black women's fault, right? If they just got there. So I don't give a fuck. They've been there for 30 seconds, right? You're in office to start something. Okay. It doesn't take that long. Okay. All right. Who's next?
Well, okay. So,
Oh yeah.
first, with what you said there, BGS, uh, they shouldn't even be in office if they don't know what the issues are. And their
Right.
issue, the problem is that they're only focused on their issues. They don't give a damn about our issues, right? So she kept on bringing, she kept on mentioning because they love to do this, and this is disingenuous when they come at us like this in the first place. We make a statement, and instead of them having a statement, they just respond to our statement. Well, what about black men in this
Yeah.
situation? What
Yeah.
about black men in this situation? They never actually have a stance to take on their own because they don't have support for the stance that they want to take. So instead, they just reply. They just take women out of it and add men to the exact same statement that we make.
Yeah.
Right. That's the
Yeah.
first thing. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the second thing is here when she's talking about, well, what have black men done for the CBC? First off, in the CBC done for the black community. First off, we all know one thing. When it comes to the black community, it's black women's asses that anybody is doing anything for. It's black women asses that black politicians kiss. She knows that. This is just common sense. You're born and raised here in the United States. This is common sense. We're not going to sit up here and argue this, right? You get there, but then also they're talking about what she asked. What do black women control? You control your vote. You control who you show support for. You control how much energy you put into your sons and their education, right? You control whether or not you're calling the police on your son's father because he can't pay child support. You control whether or not you're working in HR, and there's a lot of black women working in HR, and whether or not you're assisting black men in getting hired. You control all of these things. But for some
20
reason,
seconds. 20
you,
seconds.
okay, 20 seconds. You know how to exercise that power when you're helping another black woman, but you can't help your black men and your black boys with that same power. That's what you control.
All right.
Ooh,
Who's next?
thanks.
Who's next?
Hey, BGS.
Next. Go.
Anybody?
for it.
Go. Who go? Somebody go.
BGS.
Oh, okay.
Appreciate your platform.
Okay.
Listen. I heard you say that Yvette. It has. What she said wasn't rocket science, and you're absolutely right. I think that she's the only person now, and I don't see anyone penetrating that conversation and making it get to the mainstream and to elevate that, which we already know, and we've consumed this data, correct?
Uh-huh.
And we know this. And what one thing that I've seen, and what I'm not noticing from listening to her for years, is that the data we've seen from the bottom, right? The bottom, the ADOS people. The more I listen to her, it's starting to see that we're the last ones at the bottom,
Yeah, we are.
right? I'm talking
Yeah.
about black males.
Black male.
We're
Yeah.
always at the bottom,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Always.
Yes. So it's going to take somebody to penetrate and get that thought right to the mainstream,
We
and
that
that's
people.
just my.
We are that people, man. So yeah, we are that people. Go ahead. Finish. You got 45 seconds. Go ahead, BJ.
I'll open the floor to anyone else.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let-
Quick, if I
Okay,
can.
Go ahead.
So I think that this is Felicia. She's indicative of any time in my experience in my 42 years on this planet. Anytime men are actually trying to come up with solutions, especially black men, there's always a black woman there to mess it up. They can't handle the fact that there's black men that are calm, having a good conversation, trying to move things forward. Because if they're either caught chaos amongst themselves or they want chaos amongst us. One person came in here, BGS is cooking, he's doing good, you know what I'm saying? And then she comes in here trolling and being foolish, you know what I'm saying? And that's what's held black men back. But I just wanted to actually say that with the manosphere, I know BGS has been around for a long time. So thanks for the work that you do. But Kevin Samuels, he was one of those who was trying to help the community still.
Wow.
I know a lot of young black men, they aren't even interested in it anymore. Just like BGS said, what have you done for us? What do we get out of it? So a lot of these Gen Z, young millennials, Gen A, whatever, they're done. Ain't no community to them anymore.
Well, you can't help the community. It's too many. It's too. They've gotten too much control, and they got too many lifelines. They got too many ways to skin you. I mean, you got like literally. I took on. You got to carry a body cam like 24/7 nowadays.
You
You want
still
to
got
protect yourself.
you still got another minute,
I,
AJ.
But I just think that what these women don't understand is, I'm Generation X. We're the last generation of black men that actually were like brainwashed into this, obligation to help the community and keep all this other stuff. But now these young guys, passports up, they're gone. They're already gone. My nephew is 18. He doesn't even date black girls at all. He's done. He said, nope, I don't do it. Bitch, me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that concept. So we're the last ones, and all of us are getting passports too. So, like I said, game over. You know what I'm saying? Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's it for me, y'all.
All right.
Hey, 10 seconds, BGS. I'd like to pose a
Go
question
ahead.
to the panel.
Go ahead.
Why is it that for some reason they never are aware of our suffering when it comes to us receiving some sort of assistance?
Because they
But
don't care.
they're
They don't care.
perfectly
They
aware
don't
of our
care.
suffering. Wait a minute, but they're perfectly aware of our suffering when they can use it to their advantage.
Okay. Yeah. Well, because they don't care.
They don't care. Exactly.
With the
I know
slogan.
that.
Okay.
Exactly.
Who's next?
I'll take my
BGS,
two.
yeah, I was
Oh,
next.
yeah.
I was next, man.
Who's next? Who?
I was, man. Can you hear
Go
me?
ahead. We got you. Go ahead.
Yeah, BGS, man. Thanks for having me on the panel, man. What can black men do, man? I mean, personally, because it's obvious that we can't rely on these black women. You got a lot of them saying that that not to delete black boys and all that.
Mhm.
So we getting kamikaze from the inside. So it's like, should we just say F it and just burn this to the ground, or what can black men do in a group or individually? That's what I want to know, man.
In their group, it's over with. I mean, basically, you got to go somewhere else and find a place to be. You can't do nothing with the black women, though. It's just, I hate to say, it's just really what it is.
They've proven that.
I'm not talking about doing stuff with the black women. I'm talking about just like in this overall society, F them, because we already know that they are not our women. They're trying to kill us. They
It's called
are killing us.
SYSBM.
You got to find your own spot. That's what we're saying.
Yeah,
Right.
you got to.
Right.
I ain't gonna lie. Change your income bracket. I ain't gonna lie. A lot of people that make a little bit more money, they don't see color as much. On that aspect in the upper middle class. So just, you can get away and they can still be cool and they get a little bit cordial down there. I'm not saying that it's not undercover racism and all that other crap, but
You got
at least you don't have to. At least you got some things in common. Y'all both hard working and stuff like that.
You got 30 seconds, Vin.
Oh no, man, that's
You
really
good?
all I
You
had, man. I just had that one question, man. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Who's next?
Yeah, I'll go off that one, BGS.
Okay.
First piece to the panel. I'm just going to make it quick here. I think this goes back to even some of that. We're bringing up the gynarchy when it came to Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
And when they're talking about what does it mean to be in community? In management, what does it mean when someone is vested into this relationship? When you're thinking about it, what are they willing to give? Are they willing to give back? And then when we talk about this dynarchical structure, we're talking about people who are used to the disposability of the subordinate male class. And they're just used to it. They don't see it, and it goes up against their worldview for you to even try to bring it up. So now they're going to react to you even trying to say anything about it. But all in all, that to me is what are you supposed to do? You find someone who you can actually build a stable family with, whether it's SYSBM, however you get it done, because within a family unit, you got to have mutual respect, and people see the value of each person contributing in this unit. You can't be comfortable with people not being committed in putting legitimate, tangible efforts into the relationship. So this, and that's what I see it with this conversation here, is that you just have people who they're just totally okay with watching you're watching the other side of your community just being thrown in these warehouses. But that's all I have for you guys.
All
I'm
right.
gonna open up another space for the panel.
All right. And who's next? Who hasn't spoken that wants to speak?
I'll go next if you like, BGS.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say about Yvette's video as I was listening to your breakdown. I thought it was a bit ironic because not too long ago, or during the 2020 election, there was a New York Times
Woo,
article.
what is that? Woo, woo, woo. What's that?
Are
What's
you in
that?
the car?
God damn. Okay, hold on. Is that Meech? Yes, Meech. Cool. All right, go ahead.
Larry
Yeah,
Hoover.
yeah,
That's
All right,
not
Larry
me.
Hoover.
That's not me.
it's me.
Oh no, that's me, man. My bad, bro. My bad, man. I'm my fault, guys.
That's vintage. Okay. All right. All
Yeah,
right.
I
Go
believe
ahead.
there was a New York Times article that came out that talked about the reparations movement, and they interviewed ADOS and Tariq for FBA.
Uh-huh.
And there was a lot of pushback on ADS because people started calling them Trump supporters and stuff like that. And Yvette
Okay.
did a lot of stuff, and Tone did a lot of stuff to get that stink off of them to the point where
Okay.
she took down a video where she wore a Trump hat as kind of like a prop to make a point, which
Okay.
I thought was very cowardly. But long story short, Tariq made a simple throwaway point. He said something positive about Trump, and that's what caused all the beef between ADOS and FBA because
Not
they
real. Not really.
it,
Not really.
I don't know, man. Like I'll never
Not
forget
really.
this as long as I live. BGS. In the
Not really.
morning, I saw the tweet. I looked at it as a throwaway tweet. By that afternoon, when I got back on social media, that's when it was.
Why why why
It went
why,
haywire
why start an FBA in the first place, right? If they have the best shot of getting reparations, why do you need to start a counterpoint?
because that's what people do. People have factions. I mean, it's just what they do. And to be honest with you, the
We,
hardcore people who follow Tariq were never gonna hardcore follow
well,
ADOS anymore.
it doesn't matter. Most people do that. If you can't get behind it, if something's working, you can't behind it. It's best to shut up and let it ride.
They
Okay?
were behind it.
No, they
And
weren't. No,
yeah, they were behind it. In
Brian,
fact,
Brian,
well,
Brian,
can
Brian.
I just make my last point and I'll get off and
No, 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 no,
you
no,
can
no,
rip me apart.
no. Wait a minute. Wait, no. Negro. I have been in this game longer than you've been alive. I've seen this shit. I told people that follow me. I told them this shit was going to happen. That's why I didn't believe that ADOS and this reparation movement had a chance, because this always happens. They start to faction up and divide the people. Exactly what he did. Okay. Exactly what he did. That's why it failed. But go ahead.
All I'll say is whether you agree with FBA, whether you agree with ADOS,
It doesn't
I,
matter. It doesn't matter.
I know. All I'm saying is that I'm not talking about you personally. I'm just saying in general. Whether anyone agrees with ADOS or FBA or whatever side you choose, when you look at the strategies that they were both talking about, it all led to Trump. So that's why I didn't get what all the arguing was about.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
trying to divide the people, get them fighting amongst each other.
What I'm saying
Can
is,
can I say one of the big problems?
can I finish? I'm talking right now. Do I have to pull everybody else down? I'm not in the mood. Okay, it's at night. I'm not in the mood. I've given everybody a chance to talk. That's why the timer's up there, right? Everybody's had a chance to say something. I'm talking to him distinctly because I knew this. I knew that this is why I've known of what 15, 20 reparations movements, right? Every time it fails for the exact same reason. Everybody wants to be the person, the front man to actually lead them, right? And it factions up and it kills the movement. You gave the Democrats a way to actually kill the movement by factioning up. Okay, he should have kept his mouth shut. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether you agree with it or not. If it has the chance to actually make it, and that's the biggest push, because it had to been the biggest push for reparation I've seen in like 30 years, right? Really 40 years, right? It actually had momentum. Why faction it up instead of getting behind it? Go. I want to hear it.
The BGS, if you don't mind, I was there
Let
too.
him answer.
Okay,
Let him
okay.
answer
Let
first.
me answer.
Dre, I know you ain't talking,
for
nigga.
me?
Yeah, come on. Who's that?
You gonna answer for me?
No. I'm talking about Brian.
Yeah, you gonna answer? Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
asking. Show me something different, right? Because
Yeah,
did it not fail right after they started doing that? Didn't they start fighting
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
think it failed. Yeah, I think it failed tremendously.
miserably, right?
But
Yeah.
I'll say this. I don't think everyone wants black people to be these perfect people. We're not these perfect people. Everyone makes factions. You go to any place, any country, any tribe, and there's factions. It's how those factions get along. So you could say the same thing about ADOS. Why didn't they just shut the hell up and just let the tweet
Because
be the tweet?
who's first? ADOS or FBA?
Who cares who's first?
No.
It's
ADOS.
the
Come on,
agenda.
come
It's the agenda that matters.
No. basically, man, study this any place else in the world, right? And why things succeed and why things fail, right? Is because it's because when we got civil rights, right? Okay, everybody lined up behind Martin Luther King. Everybody did, regardless of what faction they had. Everybody lined up behind Martin Luther King. He had the best chance to succeed, even including Malcolm X and Nation. It was like everybody lined up behind him. Why they do that? Because they had the best chance to succeed. That's what they should have done with reparations. That's why I knew that wasn't going to pass, because I know black people, and they did exactly what they thought would do. Because trust and believe, if white people see something working, they'll shut the fuck up and line up behind it.
So
That's what they do in politics.
But the NOI you consider that a faction in the civil rights movement, though, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so there's definitely interviews of Malcolm X and MLK going at it.
Internally, but they went.
No, it was an interview. It was public interview.
Oh, yeah, but I mean,
hold a second, Brian. One thing you're gonna have to do, right, is you're gonna have to, if you're gonna make a statement, make it right. But the thing is, you cannot cut off somebody in mid sentence because you want to get across another point, right? Calm down, okay?
I apologize.
Guess what? The Nation of Islam was actually out there protecting people and protecting protecting folks, Martin Luther King's people.
Yeah,
they're helping them. They got behind them.
And Malcolm played bad cop to Martin Luther King's good cop. That was the important part. There would be no civil rights movement if it wasn't for the Nation of Islam and Malcolm looming in the background, scaring the crap out of white folks.
Yep, he was a Magneto basically. If you want to look at the comic book terms.
Yeah.
Let me address something, if you don't mind, just about, because I was in the mix. I was watching all this stuff.
You got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, so first, I just like Brian, I was watching this unfold also. Tariq threw out like this, well, Trump is giving us opportunity zones. What are the Democrats doing? And then he got in his ego when Tone Talks responded on some, bro, that's not what we on. Like, this is another Nixonian type of like hyper capitalist scheme type thing. It's not really gonna do anything for the black community. Opportunity zones ain't anything. So I get what Brian's saying, where it's like a throwaway line, but because Tariq responded, made that public statement, Tone responded publicly, and then it just disintegrated after that. Number one. Number two, we gotta remember, like, Tariq don't got no policy, nothing. That's Yvette and Tone's lane as an attorney, as a person. As for Yvette that used to work for a politician in DC. So when you say, like, why didn't they get behind Tariq first? Tariq came second. Second, FBA was a response to ADOS. Third, Tariq, and that's not his lane. That's not he's not that guy. As a matter of fact, one of his responses, and this is what turned me off on him, was, "Oh, but Tone ain't charismatic enough," right? And I'm like, whoa, like that, like literally that was Tariq's literal words, right? So like it was never gonna be, that type of movement going behind Tariq. I mean, you can even see that with what happened in California when he got into it with somebody right there in the bleachers. I mean, he got into his ego when Tone responded to him, and I'll pause right there.
Yeah. Anybody?
Okay, so here's the issue with the ADOS versus FBA is, and we're talking 2017, 2018 time frame, and like BGS said, we were hearing a whole lot about reparations, but we're hearing directly from politicians' mouth, right? For the first time that I was hearing it in my lifetime, right? FBA, like Z said, was a response to ADOS, but they couldn't leave it alone. It was an argument over ownership of the concept of ADOS and FBA, which, like BGS said, it doesn't fucking matter. They didn't need to respond with FBA. What matters is whether or not we were going to get reparations. Do you get what I mean? That was the most important thing. It didn't matter. You didn't need ownership of it. Like he said, Tariq, while he does some good work, that politics thing isn't really his arena. He doesn't have the gravitas that a Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell has, right? And I like Tariq, but it's that ego is what ruined it. I want to be, I'm the Highlander, that Highlander syndrome. Do you get what I mean? So that's our issue with that.
I just want to add one line. A lot of people didn't like who the lady was. Let's just keep it 100.
Yeah, that's true. That's fine.
let's,
That's true.
let's just keep it for real. A lot of
Tariq
people didn't
literally
like.
called her strappy. You're right.
Yeah, okay.
Let's like the conservative blacks, the Christian blacks, the ones looking like guys isn't gonna follow behind another lesbian woman.
Okay.
You
You know
know,
what I'm
but a lot of
saying?
people did.
I'm
A
just
lot
gonna
of people
keep it
didn't like.
100.
A
And
lot of people didn't like who Trump was either, though.
where did they get him, Leon?
It got
Exactly.
them just running in circles.
Exactly. So what is it? What does it matter? I don't give. Who
I don't
cares?
give a fuck neither.
Who cares? Who cares if you get something done for you? Who cares what the person's personality or what their
Right.
lifestyle is? If that's the case,
Exactly.
then it doesn't. Then basically hold your own nuts. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. And
Exactly.
that's the sad thing when it comes to with anything with us. But see, I've noticed too, when the women, it's like I hate to say something, we need to get back to some men only clubs and stuff like this because unfortunately these black women just can't come with us when we're trying to get something accomplished. It's just
BGS.
You know what? Let me respond real quick. You know what, Judge? Unfortunately, and I'm going to say this, man. You know, because I've I've promoted women and stuff like that. Why? Because I see niggas that said they would never rock with black women over in their sites, man, over in their corners, bringing them
and
in
look at
here
them now.
and
Now.
left and rights, man.
Hmm.
You know, I can't tell you how many how many black men are in the black manosphere
Hmm.
help promote these women that are now against us, right? Can't tell you how.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So basically, trying to hold a gynocracy, right, which is what we're in, to
Hmm.
all men's club, damn near impossible. Because as soon as women want in, guess what's going to happen?
Well, and
They're
see
gonna
the
let them.
problem
It's gonna happen because
now, and then the
B,
problem is
One
this
B,
is
time,
the
one time, one
problem.
time,
BGS.
one time, one time, one time. Go
Wait,
ahead.
wait,
BGS.
let
I
me
got a
finish. Wait, wait,
question.
wait.
B.
Hey, who's first? Who's first? Who's first?
I was gonna say real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
No matter
Leon,
where
and
you
then BJ.
look, no matter where you look in every movement, we have women. Guys aren't gonna be where the women ain't. So we have a
Um,
system where if a guy says the right thing that women like to hear, he can be pro-black, conservative, or whatever. They're gonna go that way. You know what I'm saying?
but
So there's always gonna be an intertwining of women in every space because it represents something. So I
Yeah,
understand guys
technically,
saying that, but at the end of the day, now.
technically, it was not always intertwined in that.
we're a gynocratic culture, so we're always going to allow women in. So we said that, try to keep them out, blah blah blah, and guess what? It doesn't matter because as soon as they post up a site, all them niggas gonna run over there, even including the
And,
ones that say that they don't.
right. And this
Including
is the
BGS.
Including the black
BGS.
wait,
manosphere.
wait, wait. Let me say this, guys, before you
you
get
got
it,
you
because
got
I was actually
15 seconds.
talking before then,
You got
because
30
that was
seconds.
you
Go
cut
ahead.
my time off.
You got
But I
30
say one
seconds.
of the things I say is this: this is the problem, I in this society in the year 2023, with the draconian laws and the way the life is now, and the environment we are in. You cannot allow, if you start anything, you cannot allow women to infiltrate it. They got too much power. Unfortunately, there's no checks for the power, and they can destroy anything at the drop of a hat or at any whim. You can't let them in now. It's just stupid. It's like, smoking at a gas station.
Well, see, here's the issue with that,
Hold on,
Dre.
hold on. Go ahead, BJ. I mean, Herb Saint.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thank you, BGS. I appreciate your perspective, especially your depth of knowledge. To the discussion because I think a lot of times youth is a crutch. And we have to lean on wisdom. As you know, BGS, King wasn't popular in the '60s. Even at his death, he wasn't popular. So when we have these discussions about people like leaders like Yvette and Tone and people who aren't palatable to us and as far as their personalities, you got to remember King was not popular when he died.
Yeah.
Okay, and so and I can't think of anybody who's more palatable or who can insert themselves right into the discussion besides a lesbian woman. Think about it, man. You may not like it. You may not care for her. It does not matter. The message matters. And BGS understands this. And you have to listen to what the past has dictated because that's the only way you're going to move forward.
Yeah, that's true. Got to be pragmatic about it. That's one thing I like. That's why I use this clip. There's some things I disagree with her with, but guess what? When she's on point and she's pragmatic because she's in politics, and she's not really talking to us in this clip, right? She's talking to her own
Mhm.
Something
sister
on women.
Exactly.
about the black female Democrats that are trying to gain power. Said you cannot continue to ignore this group of men, right? can I continue to disparage them and ignore them if you're not going to do anything for them, right? Then
BGS, what you
go
said
ahead
about
and
Tiffany Cross?
yeah, Tiffany Cross. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, who wants to get in next?
So it's well, like you said, BJ, she's not talking to us. She is talking about us, though, right?
Yeah,
Especially when people are taking note of us and whether or not we're voting, taking
right.
a note of us
Yeah.
as a voting block, right?
Even though she threw us that curve, talk about the underbelly, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to answer. I think it was Leon that was asking or
Mm-hmm.
was speaking about it. So, or Judge. I was talking to Judge Dre earlier. So, the issue is, it's not like women are coming and forcing their way into our organizations or our clubs or barbershops or whatever it is. The issue is that we got the dudes that are allowing them in, and we
Yeah.
have to be willing to weed them out. Right, so
Definitely.
it's like the vampire movies. Vampire can't come into your crib unless you invite them in. Well, you can't have anybody in your crib that's gonna let the vampire come in.
Certain
So
content creators, I don't
I
even
just
watch it
I
anymore.
Wait
They
a minute,
create
wait.
good content because of that. So I just
I
left it
I,
alone.
Hold on, hold on, hold
I,
on, hold
I
on.
have a realistic question to that because
Hold on. Let the person that was talking before you finish before you jump in. Okay, it's only called polite. Go ahead, Dre.
No, I said I certain content creators that I
Ooh,
used
that's a
to
lot of
listen
noise.
to and support.
All
I
right,
don't know,
vintage.
somebody's phone, man. So certain content creators I used to support and listen to all the time. Like every video, I made sure that I watched them all, even if
Like
on the
Tariq.
playbacks. And I mean, literally, I've seen some people. Like if you see some people, you will never catch me at their show again. I don't even listen to this shit
Mm-mm.
because I realized that I said this is the problem. You can't be fighting for a particular group of people and then all of a sudden you might get a particular windfall or whatever, and now you're getting a little bit more attention than you've ever received in your life, and now you come on now, you know what I mean? I've paid attention to that, and I try to stay with people who are more rooted and grounded on the issues rather than they can be swayed, because a person that can be easily swayed is usually dangerous to any society or anything you're trying to build.
All right, who's next? So somebody who's going to get in. Is it vintage?
I
Leon was
just
trying
had
to
a
speak.
question. I just
Go
had
ahead.
a question
Go ahead.
because your idea. I'm not going to debate with you. I'm just going to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Your idea is to start kicking people out of a space and eliminate people based off of their politics of women or things that they align with. That's like already,
No, I'm not
basically.
kicking them out of a space. I just said that they just can't be doing like when we build something, they can't be. You can have an opinion, but you don't get a vote
Okay. I
because
don't
this
think
is,
that. I'm just saying. I don't
hey,
think that works.
well,
Okay.
you don't think it works because it doesn't sound right. But I
Okay.
mean, this is the problem. Is I mean, just remember, like, I'm one of the ones they call me judge. I can say the hard truth. You know, hey, sometimes no offense, motherfucker, you don't get a vote. Why is that? Because you ain't got no skin in the game. It's just what it is. I know you don't like that because you ain't. This is America, and you've been born and raised a participation trophy type of ways. But no offense, you don't get a vote.
Well,
I'm,
the,
Period.
I'm,
when the,
I'm
re-
pretty
the
sure
reason
that's
we
illegal,
One time.
Dre,
One time.
but
One
go
time.
ahead.
One time.
But not
the
a
re-
vote. We're not
Well,
talking about a vote in
we,
life, and like you can oppose. But what I'm
mm-hmm.
trying to say is, if it's something we starting, we realize that certain things. This is what kills all our things. So if we're gonna build something, we got to make sure again that we don't allow it to be destroyed.
Okay.
but most of the time that comes from inside, right? So
Of
it's
course, that's why you got
the
to be
reason
careful who you let out.
the reason people would say this doesn't work is because when it comes to the black community, we've never tried this before. We haven't seen
Yeah,
this work. We haven't been raised to
yeah,
think like this. So of course we don't think it works. But try it in the other communities and see whether or not it works. Right?
yeah.
If we just so happen to be at the bottom of the ladder, right? And what we're saying that the thing we haven't tried doesn't work. Well, yeah, it doesn't work for us because we haven't tried it yet.
Right,
But
yeah,
for whatever
right.
reason,
Good point.
everybody else who's doing it is
Mm-hmm.
higher up on the ladder than we
Right,
are. You know what? You know
right.
what's really real simple. We got to start being a lot more stern.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
thank you. I
By
hate
the
to
way,
say
thank
something.
you,
You got
T
to say the
Riddler.
cold hard truth. It just I hate to say either hey, you gonna get these are the rules, and we create a space. These are the rules. This is what it's gonna be. If not, you can kick rocks. I
Kick
don't
rocks.
care.
Okay.
Like remember, like I said, If you're not part of the group, I don't care about you at all. I mean, like I said, you could be on fire, and I got a fire extinguisher. So I'm not even wasting it on you.
Hop
You're
in your
not part
baby
of the group.
Benz
One at a time.
and hit out.
Okay. All right.
Y'all gonna
Rogan.
start paying me for the baby bins.
Oh,
Hop
okay. Yeah,
out
I
there.
got it. Go ahead, Rogan. She
All
hadn't gotten in yet. You want to get in? If you want to
Yeah,
get in, get in.
respect. I wanted to ask a question because when you pointed out that she made mention, without mentioning the Black Manosphere, do you think it was largely to the Black Manosphere, or
Oh yeah.
possibly some of the men that were within her group that
No,
are
no, no, no,
having
no, no,
Black
no, no,
Manospherian
she
no,
said
no,
thoughts?
no, no,
underbelly.
no. She the underbelly. She talking about us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they referred
That's
to
why.
us back in the day as the
Yeah.
underbelly of
Underbelly.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
okay.
that to show you how old I am. See,
Yeah.
I was making content back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just referring
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
okay.
But she also spoke to understanding of why we would be here in the first place,
Yeah,
right?
she
Right.
did. She did.
Yeah. So she
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I agree with BG. Yeah, she took that jab. That was a real jab.
It
But
was a real jab. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
with that, yeah,
It
she's
was kind of disrespect, but it is what it is. So we'll
and
keep
what
moving.
I loved is her pretty much telling black women, yeah, what did you think? You marginalized them for at least 30 years. What you thought? That's pretty much what she was saying,
Yeah.
right? In
And you know
political
What
what?
you
speech.
expect?
And
She
yeah,
was
Right.
telling
exactly.
herself of it because she like, but you know what? Y'all know I don't rock the way, but if I did rock the way, I'll be rocking with the brothers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of, you know what, Rogish, you read the same thing. I feel the same way. I feel like that's what she's saying too.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that's what she's saying too, for
Yeah.
real. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
y'all get why she's saying that though? Because
Hmm.
just by her rocking with us, and
Hmm.
if we actually went to her, that would
Hmm.
benefit women way more. They understand their glass ceiling. You know what I'm saying? They're
Hmm.
well aware of it.
What
Okay.
Well, they know what side the brother is
Are they
tread
though?
on.
the thing? Okay, the thing is, and this is why I pointed out. And this is what I want you guys to learn because you guys are, you know, this is about structure. She wants to win, right? And she knows that's why she played Bannon at the beginning. If you guys continue to disrespect and basically not give anything to this block of people, the Republicans will start peeling your people off. Okay,
Yes, indeed.
it's a
Exactly.
it's a
They have
political
started.
strategy. It had does she care about black men? I think she does. Does she care about people that are underserved? I think she does. The thing at the end of what she's saying is this is a political strategy. How can you expect men that you've never cared about, never
Just
done
continue.
anything for,
Hmm.
ignored for 30, 40 years, expect them to actually get behind your political agenda? They
Right.
won't.
Hmm.
That's what she's saying. And what she's saying is that this is actually going to grow. Okay, that's what she's trying to say.
Yep.
She explicitly said that this is a bad political strategy. That's what she's saying.
Hmm.
You're going to have to start serving the people that you want to attract to your agenda. If you do not, they will not come. That's what she's saying. Had nothing to do with with us or how we feel or anything like that. She's talking to her base.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
What she's not
And
going to say, what she's not going to speak on is feminism and the social conditioning behind it that have these women making the selection that they said. You know what I'm saying?
oh, she speaks on feminism.
Yeah, she has. She has.
She has. What I'm saying is, see, you guys are taking it way beyond pragmatism. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what the fuck she speaks on. If you don't give these niggas nothing, they're gonna vote for you.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what
Point
she
blank,
said.
period. And she's pointed it out. You, like she said with the brick, you didn't show up for them for 30 years when they're going to jail,
Right.
getting incarcerated. They're on the
Hmm.
streets, not having jobs. You
Hmm.
didn't show up for them, but you expect for them to actually put their lives on the line for you for a fucking brick.
That's
Right.
exactly
And,
what
and,
I was
It
getting ready
turned
to
out to
say.
be a lie.
save your goddamn community, regardless of politics, right? You're gonna have to get a new attitude. That's what she's trying to tell her group. Okay,
And
Exactly.
as a response
wait,
to something,
one at a time, one time. Who's first?
let him go first. Let him go first.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know, do you think it was pragmatic for Yvette and Tone to kind of poke the Tariq bear to kind of to start all the
They didn't start it.
chaos?
They didn't
He
start it.
started it.
He started it.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Ryan,
he did feel embarrassed by Tone saying, "Yo, this is not the road." But I know Tone responded to him, but his ego and the way he responded back, right? So it's well, at least Trump is giving us the opportunity zones. And Tone was like, yeah, that's not what we're trying to do over here. I don't know what you're doing, Tariq. And then the way Tariq responded to that is what blew everything up, right?
Okay.
So I mean, if you want to say that Tone poked the bear by saying, hey, I don't know if that's the direction we're trying to go in,
Well,
then I mean, go ahead.
I think it's the reason why. Like, I think the reason why they did
You,
that is because of that New
okay.
York Times
Okay.
article. I think
Okay.
they were
Okay.
afraid of being
Pull,
labeled Trumpists.
pull
That's
back.
why I say
Pull back and notice the forest and stop sitting on the bark of the tree. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
But
the wrong. What was the whole ADOS push for?
Reparations.
What was it
mhm,
for, Brian?
it's for reparations.
Okay, and basically they just happened to catch fire, right? Accident.
Yep.
yep.
It's accident. You start on YouTube, you start on Twitter, and all of a sudden whatever happened, you catch dry brush and a forest fire starts.
Hmm.
Okay? So what do? Pour water on it, divide the fire, you get behind it and fuel the fire. Which one do you do, Brian?
You get behind it.
They didn't get behind. That's. I'm not going to cuss. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Stop trying to micromanage something. It's an accident. Okay, trust and believe.
Hmm.
I know 20. I know because I said it a lot of my pro-black folks that have been doing reparations agendas for like 30 years. Man, some of them on that 50 years. Same shit. Never got any traction. But this one, for whatever reason, got traction.
It
Yep.
hit.
I'm telling them, I don't care what you feel about. I don't care what's on the list. What
Mhm.
care what issues you have with it. This
Back
one
them up.
has the chance to actually get on it. It's like a horse race, right? Okay.
Yep.
If,
Oh
Mhm.
if
yeah.
there's a horse that's gonna win, I don't care whether you like the jockey, the owner, whatever it is, right? You put your bet on the goddamn horse that's running. Okay.
Well,
That's what
And
they didn't do,
I
and that's why it's failed. That's how come all the Democrats scared shitless.
Yeah,
Mm.
they didn't have nothing. They're like
Shitless.
when
They
they're
have
speechless, that means you're winning.
you're
I tell
winning.
people all the time,
Yep.
right? I tell all people all the time. You know, you said something difficult when a motherfucker don't say shit.
Yeah.
So what do black people do? Okay, you have Tariq and you have Jason Black going.
Hmm.
Guess what? He gave him an
mhm.
opening. Okay, we got a wedge. Okay,
well
we got a
Yeah.
crack.
I
Right,
dis
And
I
right.
did I
And
disagree
they
with you.
fed it.
Why?
I
Why?
did
Okay, what part of it do you disagree with?
I disagree. I think FBA and the people who primarily identify as FBA were behind it. They were behind reparations. They just didn't necessarily follow Yvette and Tone religiously like ADOS people do,
that's
or vice versa.
Hold on, hold on,
And
hold on, hold on.
and what the large point I want to make though is when you look at the
No, no, no,
strategy.
no, 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 no. Stop right there. Okay, okay.
I
No,
was
no,
going to try to wrap it back
I
around to
don't.
what you
No,
was.
Okay, let me ask you this, Brian. Let me ask you this, right? What is it about you millennials? You have to get all your points out, right? Instead of
Right.
stopping at one point, okay? What is it
Well,
about?
They like to bury the shit
we can't
in the
help
whipped
it.
cream.
What is it? You have to cover all the holes before you actually get on
Yes,
the mic.
BGS, I do it too. We can't help it.
And other,
We
and other,
learned it. We
and, and, and,
BGS. We learned it from our women, bro.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yes, they did.
In other words, right? Okay, I don't care if you fucking disagree with them. Guess what happened?
Exactly.
What
But
happened? What happened when you did that, Brian?
did what?
What happened when FBA came out? You disagreed with them, especially in public, right? What happened to the movement? The whole reparations movement. What happened?
I mean,
Yeah, I can't even tell when the last time I
No, no,
even
no, no, no.
heard the reparations
Let him
movement.
answer. Hold
Do I
up,
have to,
Jay.
do I have to drop everybody or what? Brian, answer. What happened to the movement?
I think the movement is still there. It's just
Really?
the different factions.
Oh, really? Really? Where? Okay, where is it?
It's on social media right now.
So where was it before? In 2018?
Social media.
No, it wasn't. It was up front. They
nah,
weren't
it
going
was
to talk
bigger.
about
Yeah,
it.
it was bigger than that. Yeah, it was bigger
Yep.
than that in
We were doing this for
2018.
the
No, it
Okay,
wasn't.
content.
It was not bigger than that. It
okay,
wasn't.
Yeah.
Brian,
Yes, it
Brian,
was bigger than that.
It
Brian,
wasn't. It was not bigger than that.
Brian. If
We
we
had
whoa, whoa, whoa,
politicians.
whoa. Okay, well, I'm gonna drop everybody for a second. If you guys gonna keep interrupting, right?
I'm
Okay,
good. I'm good.
okay. Brian, if we gonna rewrite history, man, we have nothing to talk about, right? Because trust and believe, I was on this, man. We talk about this every day. Okay, we talk about this every day. I was on this. I was actually talking about this behind the scenes. We're on this. So if we're gonna rewrite history it wasn't on the biggest stage, then we have nothing to talk about, man. I can't. I don't do that. If you're gonna rewrite history and rewrite it to your fashion, basically there's no basis for actually any more discussion. The last word, and we'll end it right there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not rewriting history. I'm just looking at the results. We can say that people talked about it and stuff like
Let me
that,
finish.
but at the end of the day, when you look at people who genuinely support reparations, I mean, give their hearts and soul to it, I don't think it's that many people in the black community. I just don't. So we can say is, yeah, we got a talking point out there, but that's about it.
Okay.
I
All right.
mean,
I actually agree
All
with
right.
him on that. That it's not a significant amount of people. What I would say is I think, but I don't think people have consistent political thoughts where they understand to okay, if you wanted reparation, that would come from government. That's a big government gesture, huge. That's
Okay.
not most likely going to come from the right. That doesn't mean it's impossible, but nigh on impossible, damn near,
Okay,
right?
but here,
So
let me
because
say
wait,
something.
I'm painting a picture. I'm
Let
painting
him
a picture.
finish, right?
All
Let him
right.
finish.
So
Let me put the clock back up because you guys
okay,
keep stepping on me.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
I'm
So
getting because you guys are gonna irritate me with this shit. All right. I'm trying to
okay.
make sure that everybody speaks and you guys are stepping all over each other. Right. Okay. Go ahead. You got
Okay,
2 minutes.
so um, if what you have is Tariq and Jason coming from a different worldview, and this is also why certain people had a problem with Yvette going at Dr. Claude Anderson and Dr. Francis Krauss Welsing, which left a sour taste in people's mouth anyway. So when Tariq came in with the quote unquote alternative, they jumped over there anyway, because they wasn't really trying to rock with Yvette and Tone in the first place, right? So I think I agree with Brian where the fracturing, it was in once there would have been any other type of option. But then what BGS is right about is Tariq should have known better. But he couldn't. His ego couldn't. His ego. I'm telling you, I watched the whole thing unfold. Tariq's ego destroyed the movement, and Jason backing him. It made it worse, and you, I don't know.
But see, when it
Yeah,
comes
Hold on.
to
Hold on.
that,
Hold on.
people should have been able to look. People should have been
Okay,
able to
well,
look
hold on. Hold on.
past
Hold on.
that.
Hold on. You got a minute.
Mhm.
Okay. You can get
No,
this.
no, I'm done. I'm done. Go ahead, Rogers. I'm done.
Go
I'm
ahead.
done.
You got 2 minutes.
So the thing is, people should have been able to look past that. The fact that this cat want to present as some macking shit right off the bat, you should have been, so that should have been suspect right off the bat. And then right after that, get right into possible Pan Africanism. Get the fuck out of here. Because everybody fell for, I'm saying, the banana tailpipe with this old Mark ass nigga, and now he was able to disrupt, like I said, through his ego, right? Bougie ass L.A. nigga, right? Who
He
got
really a
named
Bama
for
nigga
the
that moved to
Rosebud.
LA.
Okay, but the thing it is, he got laced by Rosebud, right? And so
Yeah,
what I'm saying, here he is thinking
yeah.
he putting on the game, but in a way, what I'm saying, getting some of it, but not leading the people the way he's supposed to. If you are going to be in a position of that, he should have backed up Tone, backed up Yvette. If it was for black people, he would have done it for black people. He in it for himself, and it seemed like everybody who rock with him ain't able to see that with this old Mark ass
But
nigga.
do you see what I'm
Okay,
saying though?
so
Where
Hold
he
on.
doesn't,
Hold on.
real quick, he Tariq didn't understand the line because I don't think Tariq really appreciate politics. So he does, when you throw out
Well,
Trump in the opportunity
close it
zones,
up.
you don't really understand the line that is not that is that's him trying to get in the way of reparations, right? That's Trump trying to say, "Well, I did something here. Look. I gave this opportunity zone, which is going to benefit big business in the first place, because only a handful of Negroes have that type of capital, like a Nipsey Hussle, right? So I'll pause right there.
Go ahead.
okay, so
Hold on. We got Dead Set and Swamp. Okay. You guys want to jump in? You guys want
Sure.
3 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw my 2 cents in because this whole talk about reparations, it's a funny thing because I understand what Z and Rogish is saying, well, whoever else, Brian McMurray, stated about people's interest in reparations. But if we understand the audience that we're dealing with or the American public, for the most part, cares about what media tells them to care about. So if you want to make
Hmm.
this about reparations, then all you need to do is push that in media. And to talk about the difference between Tone, Yvette, and Tariq actually has that type of clout to actually push this thing through media. But the fact that he went against Tone was absolutely detrimental because that was some booty shit that he did. I ain't gonna lie. It was,
Hmm.
I
Facts.
never respected Tariq for that move after the fact.
Hmm.
I'm
The
sorry.
second,
You
I'm
still got
sorry.
a
Go
minute.
ahead.
You
I
still got a
didn't hear
minute.
that. Sorry.
Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
You still got a
yeah,
minute. Dead Set. If you got more.
yeah, and the last thing is this. Because of that move, it was a It was an abject misunderstanding of our opponents. These white people are not stupid. And when you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And that's exactly what they did. And the whole thing collapsed. So now you got Gavin Newsom in California who's pushing the reparations that he's trying to walk back. And you got a second opportunity. And what are we doing about it? What are they doing about it? I mean, are they quibbling over there in California, BGS?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I see the point right there.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to say.
Hold
I'm
on.
sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Swamp. You haven't spoken. You want to jump in?
Yeah, with the with this, I'm
Or anything. It doesn't have to be this. Anything. Whatever you want to
okay.
talk
'Cause I was a little hesitant because I'm like, I think you guys have heard it a little bit more. I thought the breakup was more about everybody can hear me, right?
about. We hear you. Got you.
Okay. I thought the breakup was more of there is like an alignment of reparations with like the left or like the Democratic Party or something like that. So, I guess it's just listening on that aspect. I don't have a lot to say with that. I mean, when it comes to the reparations argument, I don't know if it's just something that I really don't have a super developed concept on it. I really think the pushing the cultural aspect of reparations, like it has to be a certain thing. Like I'm in favor of that. I'm ready for critique, but I don't see the problem with like cleaning it up and making it like, hey, reparations has to be, you know, based on this outlook, or else, the critique of the millennials when it comes to affirmative action, like, the idea that you pushed it on like a integration aspect, and then it turned into everybody, how Dr. Claude says it, women and Eskimos and everybody got segued into the affirmative action idea. So when I seen the breakup, I wasn't completely, like I said, I'm ready for critique on it. I wasn't completely like frustrated about it because it seemed like it was about to be opened up for takeover again.
So
So
basically you wanted nothing. Okay.
Right.
I'm not going to say I wanted nothing. I'm saying that. Well,
So
I,
no. If it
well,
fa-
well, what,
if it fails, you get nothing. Okay.
Hmm.
It's not. We
well,
didn't even get it on the table. So basically, you got nothing. Is that
well,
what you want? So you're good with that?
I guess. All
I'm
right,
asking.
critique the mindset.
Dre
That's what
killing me.
I'm asking.
critique
I'm
the
asking.
mindset. I'm trying to say
I'm
I'm
asking.
ready. I'm ready for nothing.
Okay.
If it's between taking a bad deal and taking nothing, or just waiting and hoping that
Mm.
a little bit
Hoping,
cleaner on
waiting.
an idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you have that time?
So in other words, in 200 years, you never got a reparations movement that was worth a damn. So you're willing to wait another 200 years.
Well, with social media, I just don't think that it's that long. Like the way social
Mm.
media affects politics, it's not like what feminists had to do with fighting for 200 years and getting
And
all
you
this stuff done. Like it's
and,
the
and,
energy, the
and your
what's it
proof
called?
and your proof of that is.
Right.
Well, the proof of the effectiveness of social media in politics.
I mean that this particular uh,
Deal.
this particular bill, this particular movement, and remember, there's a reparation bill that's been sitting in Congress for 40 years. Okay, so
Right.
Okay.
it's never moved.
Right.
So
Brother,
you,
what I would.
so you hold on. So you're willing to wait 30, 40, 50 years for it to come up again?
Yeah. Sounds nice.
I guess I'm comfortable hedging my bet that it's
Okay,
not
all right, okay.
it's not as long. The process
But
wouldn't be as long to get more and more people, like the Black Manosphere aspect, like to get more and more people onto that side.
Yeah.
The tools that we have to do it, I guess I'm not as like anxious about
Wait. In other words,
waiting.
you have no idea how
right.
hard a movement that reparations that is. That's what I don't realize. See, because
And
we could just bring it up next year. It's one of the
right.
hardest things that black people can do. Almost as probably as hard, probably even harder than civil rights. You've heard her.
And
And I don't think you
and
appreciate real quick, Meech. Because I'm gonna be
Real-
Yeah,
30
I'm
50
trying
seconds.
to.
seconds, 50 seconds, real quick. I don't think you
50. No, 30.
understand
You
the
got 30.
30
You got
second.
30.
Okay, I don't think you really appreciate the wealth transfer that's about to happen and come down from white boomers to their children, and how the wealth gap that exists now is going to turn into a chasm, right? You
right.
needed that reparations at a certain time specifically, because if you think you can't afford a car now, if you think you can't afford a house now, you know what it's going to be in 20, 30 years for your kids and grandkids. So I think that's what we're missing, is that window really, really matters, right? And I don't know if you can hedge your bet,
Right.
because black people are in dire straits now, let alone in 20, 30 years, when they
Mhm.
say what black wealth is going to be zero by
5 seconds.
2053. You don't got
That's
that time,
moving
right?
up
And I'll
by
pause right there.
2050.
Okay.
Yep.
Go
Okay,
ahead,
so
Meech. Go ahead,
so
Meech. Go ahead, Meech. Go ahead,
okay,
Meech.
I wanted
Yeah.
to respond to Roger's son earlier because he was making some good points when he was talking about Tariq and that pimping kind of shit. And he
Uh-huh.
does have a point. Here's my issue: I'll vote for a pimp, I'll vote for a preacher, I'll vote for whoever, as long as he's pushing what I need him to push. The problem is
Thank you.
that Tariq has followers, and they're following Tariq instead of following the damn policies, which led them to Tariq in the first place. They left the policies
What
and
the
they
fuck was
prioritized.
Tariq's policy?
Hold on. Let me.
They prioritized. No, listen what I'm saying to you. The people who had policies started following Tariq and left their policies and started looking at Tariq the same way as they look. They focused on the pimp and the preacher, and they made them the priority over the word. Is what I'm saying
Right,
to
yeah.
you. Do you get what I
Right,
mean?
right.
The
Go
second,
Yeah,
ahead,
I
the
Meech.
get
se-
it.
Go ahead.
the second thing is that with this with our as far as the reparations go and us getting them, reparations didn't start with social media,
Hmm.
right? So this isn't a matter of whether or not we're going to be able to get reparations really quickly just because we have the tools. We have a whole hell of a lot of tools on this planet. It doesn't mean that people follow the concepts that those tools are used to build. We try to convince. We have the hardest part is gathering people together. What does BGS say? It's like herding cats.
Yep. Okay. Rogish, you respond, and then I guess Brian can respond. Go ahead
And
and
I'm
respond.
pass it to Brian. Go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, in defense of Tariq a little bit, even though I agree with some of you guys.
Oh
No,
Lord.
you know what? Hold on. Even though I
Oh
agree with
God,
some,
man.
wait.
Hey man,
Even
y'all
though,
take
look,
it easy, bro. I'm gonna holler at y'all, man.
look.
Y'all
Even
take
though
it
I
easy.
agree with some of you guys' points about his ego, and sometimes I think he jokes around too much
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I think during that exchange, because I listened to it and I watched the same thing,
You going
I
back
saw
to
Tariq go out of his way
listen,
to
listen, 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 listen.
dang it.
Fuck the exchange. It should have never happened.
Yeah,
Fuck
I
the
agree. It
exchange.
should have never happened. I think Tariq and not
No, no,
Tariq,
no,
but
no, no, no.
Yvette and Tony should never poke the bear.
Right.
No. What? Okay, Brian. Okay, Brian. Okay, I'm gonna need you to take a drink, man. Calm down for a second, right? Motherfucker should have never been. There should have never been an FBA. Period.
Right. Should
Period.
never, no
Should have never
call,
been there. There's
no
no
effect.
call
No,
for it.
right. No
Okay.
effect.
As
Yeah.
soon as you created a split. That's what I'm trying
Right.
to tell you. Should have never happened. That's
Right.
why it failed. That's why I knew it would fail. As soon as it happens, oh shit. As soon as I heard FBA, I said, oh shit, it's over.
Well, one of the
Yeah.
things I noticed that I don't know if you noticed this back then.
Mhm.
Back then is it was gaining traction online.
Yes.
And if you notice, the media people, like you say, it was online. So the media people were asking politicians,
Yes.
putting them on a hot seat for that
Yes.
question.
Yes.
So you
It
should
was.
have just shut the fuck up,
Okay.
because the media was putting the people in the hot seat. So the media was doing all your dirty work for you. Because they're like, well, what do you think about
Right.
reparations? So it's like, oh, they got to speak on it now, you know?
Yes. I mean,
So it's like,
this is what frustrates me. Sometimes you guys have the political savvy of a 10-year-old. Okay,
right.
you're worried about
Sometimes let
beef.
them people go in the
You know,
hospital
about beef.
in the hot seat.
In other words, basically, when you see 30, 40 reparations movements fail, okay,
hmm
for lack of traction, and you get one that get
hmm
movement, and also you get a big group behind it, okay, behind it. Say maybe this has a push, right? Okay, that happened with Barack Obama, but like believe it or not, right? Because a whole lot of black people said, well, we didn't want didn't want him for black president, right? Till it
hmm
turned out to be okay. If not him, who else is he gonna pick? Guess what they did? They shut the fuck up and got behind it.
Yeah, 'cause I
And,
remember
and
that then. I didn't really like him at first either.
I mean,
I,
I
and I
mean,
think there's a ignorance of, like, culture warring is not doing politics. although culture is down the street from politics, right? The politicians are right about that, especially the right leaning ones. But culture warring isn't doing politics, and that's what Tariq got into right after the big debacle with him and Tony and Yvette. That's what he engaged in, right? And so
Yeah.
that's where you get
Then
the
he went at the
the
diaspora and
Hold on,
shit.
hold on, hold on.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, Rogish is right. When he went at the diaspora, and I think it's important though to make the distinction. And I'm saying that as a child of immigrants, I think it's important. But that's not exactly where Tariq stayed. He stayed in the culture war instead of just making the distinction and then moving on. And
Yeah.
I would say, from my view, that's what Tariq, to me, that's what Tone and Yvette engaged in, which is okay. There's a distinction here. Either your lineage comes from the plantations of the South or maybe even the North or the East. And if they don't, they don't. That's
Yeah,
it,
it's pretty
right?
simple. It's pretty
Yeah,
simple.
it's pretty damn simple. And they even made caveats. So okay, maybe if you were a black immigrant and you got here before 1965, maybe you should get
No,
something.
no.
But you know,
Basically, there's a class of people called Negro. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. It's what we should have done instead of ADOS. Negro.
yeah.
That's what you classified as since 1750 as Negroes.
That's the
Okay.
phrase. Yeah.
And that's your lineage. That's your people. Those are the class of people that would get reparations that are owed to it. Okay. That's why you have it, right? That's why you have it. Okay. Go ahead, Equalize. You want to get in?
Yeah. Peace to the chat and everyone else.
Peace.
I've said this quite a few times to BGS. It's just a suggestion. I really think, the elders, you guys should create curriculum. I'm sitting. No, I'm that. I'm laughing, but I'm
no.
serious.
Dr. T says the exact same thing. So you're right. Yeah.
Because I think you boomers are the last ones when it comes to just flat out being astute across the board. I don't care how anybody feels about it. It's just observation since I was a child, man. I mean, at this rate right now, the way how things are going technologically, geopolitically, and even domestically, and with demographics, I just don't think a lot of the guys understand or can put their feelings, which is showcased publicly, which is ridiculous, to the side and just put whoever is the best person, regardless, even if it's not you. If you don't have the ego, if you don't have the common sense to say, I'm gonna put my opinion to the side and let Joe over here or Jimmy take the reins in the public eye for this particular subject or what have you. There's no way stuff's gonna move, because if you can't sell this idea to Wall Street, you can't sell it to the guys on K Street, right? You can't sell it to Congress. Nothing's gonna happen. If you don't understand how bills are actually created, nothing's gonna happen. Fuck, if you can't even read a fucking balance sheet, because at the end of the day, again, if you can't talk money to all these people, how they're gonna benefit, how you're gonna get your interests aligned, you're fucking kidding yourself. And at that level, it's about power, influence, and money. And it's hard. Like, I don't think guys understand how hardcore it is. It is unrelenting. You don't have time to be arguing over people, right? If you can't, have a heated debate, and then after the debate, go out to lunch with the same guy,
right?
You don't have a fucking, you just don't have a chance, man. That's a level a large percentage of black men just need to be at. Like, and I mean, like, by the end of this decade. I don't know. I keep on saying by the end of this decade for a reason, man. This is it. This really is it, man. And I'm 40. So by the end of this decade, I'm looking at 50. This is it.
Yeah. There's a lot of things getting ready to coincide at the same time, like a perfect storm. Yeah.
That's one of our problems in the black community. That was one reason why we can never really build anything on that aspect there, especially with that. We got too many of the, any little type of bullshit can just split it up so much. It's bad enough. It's bad enough getting the men together. Once you add women, that adds another total factor in that, and that just really tears it up.
All right, tell
I
me.
agree with BGS
Can
that seeing it, right, being there. I even called into Yvette a couple of times, and I was listening to Tariq forever, and when I saw the split, starting, I'm, oh crap, like I was just like BGS, like it's over, it's over,
Right. Yeah.
and it was hard. No lie to y'all, like even y'all know I'm not idiots, but it was heartbreaking to watch because this is being in the mix of politics. You like BJ said, you are aware of the fact that this will be exploited, and it was
Yeah.
exploited.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
Well,
momentum, that's the problem. I don't know
if
how you get that momentum back.
if Tariq if he had the wherewithal, he would have known I shouldn't say shit
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah. Mm.
I cannot be the face of this movement at all
Right.
because it's
He
not
couldn't.
going to go anywhere because
His
people
ego
cannot
can't,
can
stomach
I
man.
add one word?
exactly.
It's not ego,
Well, wait a
fellas. You
minute.
know,
If he do
y'all keep
say
Hold on,
something,
explaining
hold
all
the
on,
he had
hold
to
on,
do
right.
was
hold on,
back
hold
it
on,
up.
hold on,
He could
hold on.
still have his
All right,
fucking
all right.
proof.
Hey,
Just back
if
up
if,
telling
if
him.
we gonna talk over each other, I will go to bed. Okay, we've been doing well so far, right?
Got
I've let everybody talk. That's why the timer's up. Everybody's at
Hmm.
least 4 or 5 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Okay, I don't want this
Hmm.
cat fight. Right? That's somebody.
Meow.
And somebody's talking. Let them finish. Okay. Now who's speaking? Go ahead and finish.
I think Rogish was speaking.
No, no, somebody else. No,
No,
Roger's
Leon wanted
Ah,
to.
I
Leon. Go
just
ahead.
Oh,
I
okay,
just
okay,
had
okay.
it quick.
Hmm.
And so many people want to be a leader, but look at what happened to our leaders. So if you're not wanting to get assassinated,
Right.
just fall in line. Just fall the fucking
Hmm.
line. I'm just being for real. I just wanted to say that.
All right.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
got a.
Rogue.
I
Go
would
ahead,
agree.
Rogish,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
Mhm.
I think when it comes to this, it's this. Might get a little bit black pill. If you're looking at social fabrics, you got to ask yourself, what social fabric does it take for black people to be motivated for something, even defaultly, if not intrinsically connected, on I guess an accord, right? Because that's
Hmm.
and I believe it was the other brother Brian. Y'all mentioned it earlier, as far as just reparation being presented to black people and them not on board, right? Because largely they understand it's not going to come from the Democrats. So that means that the only other avenue that they see is the party, the Republican, the one who they really believe is racist, even though we know how the Democrats
Right.
are now.
Hmm.
So I think
Hmm.
we're dealing with more of cultural issues that are clouding one's ability to be able to navigate a political issue in the practicality that needs to be.
Okay.
There's a lot of
Hold on.
naysayers.
Go ahead, that's it.
Yeah, my question on reparations, and I've always asked this question. Do y'all see that? I mean, because I understand it's been politicized, but I have to reiterate reparations is a justice issue, pure and simple. I
Right.
mean, the politicization of reparations, I think, is what gets us in the most trouble because I've always wondered, how do we frame reparations? If you frame reparations as a justice issue, I think we could go further because civil rights was framed as a justice issue. We've got more traction that
I
way.
agree.
I agree.
But right now, I always say you need to send this shit before the judiciary and then let them vote on it. I mean, let them adjudicate it. But we never seem to want to go in that direction because that will be the first step. And we don't even have to make that step because we already know what happened at that time was unjust. Nobody argues that point, but send it that route anyway so that it can gain some momentum.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just wanted to say about the 2020 period or during that election, we were
Hmm.
never going to get reparations after that election. It was never going to happen. That wasn't the strategy. That wasn't the FBA strategy. That wasn't the ADOS strategy. The strategy was to deny the Democrats the executive branch. Now, I do think that the
Hmm.
bickering
Hmm.
ultimately, destroyed that whatever opportunity we have for that. Because when I would talk to my normie parents and tell them about the ADOS movement, as soon as they started bickering, they were like, "See, they sounded just like you, BGS." Like they didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I think it
Yeah.
did affect it
But
in that way. But we were
wait,
never
wait,
going to
wait,
get
wait.
reparations,
No, no,
after
no,
the
Right.
Right.
election. What's going to happen?
that wasn't me. Okay, they didn't sound like me.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
they didn't sound like me.
What I meant,
Okay.
they sound like you, just like, man, niggas always fighting. That's how they.
Oh,
That's it.
so what happened, Brian?
Hmm.
I'm not disagreeing with you, BJ.
That's exactly what happened.
What happened? No. What happened? So what happened, Brian?
Mm.
Yeah,
Don't say nothing to an answer.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I
And
think
exactly. So
that
what?
aspect of it didn't work.
So what should Tariq have done, Brian?
I don't think it was Tariq's fault. I don't.
Is it?
I put more onus
Okay.
on ADOS for that fiasco than
No.
I think Tariq has his issues. Don't get me wrong. But I
Okay.
put more onus
So
on Yvette.
why create something to cause a split, Brian?
Because there was always a split even before he coined
Why
the term
create?
FBA, there was always a split.
Why create something to encourage a split, Brian?
He didn't want to be associated with ADOS.
I don't care. Why did you call? Why interject something when something has momentum, Brian?
It still had momentum when he made it. It wasn't until they started bickering.
Why interject it, Brian? Why? Why did you do it?
I didn't do it.
Well, he is right about that one, though.
No, I'm saying, hold on a second. Why interject it, Brian? That's what I'm trying to get to you. In other words, basically, if you know the history of this stuff, right, of reparations, if you don't, you shouldn't be in it, right? And you know why these things fail, right? And you know exactly why things fail, because what your parents say, right? They've seen this before, okay? And as soon as it popped up, we knew it was over. Because Negroes will Negro, right?
But I think that's for my parents. I think that's their blind. I think that's their blind spot.
No. What happened, Brian?
Look. Yes, I know what happened. BJ.
What happened, Brian?
The energy got diminished. I agree.
Why is it a blind spot if what they said and what I said it was exactly
because it's still if they're going to use some bickering and some factioning to not put their heart and soul in reparations.
Brian,
you asked me a question, can I at least answer you?
Brian,
There's a blind spot on their part.
No. Why is it a blind spot when if I tell you that number 5 in a horse race out of 20 horses is going to win, right? And you should have a blind spot, but guess what? That horse wins by six horse lengths, right? How's that a blind spot?
We didn't win. There was no winning in 2020. If anything, the election proved the ADOS, the FBA, all the
speaking of the momentum, Brian.
Brian. In other words, I'm talking about predicting something. You can see something, right? Okay, number one, you're gonna have to. I don't know what is millennials, right? You say something, you do use you can't use analogy with millennials, right? You have to talk to them in what color crayons do I have to draw, Brian? Basically, if your parents saw something accurately, right? And you say it's a blind spot, but what they said actually turned out to be true. How is that a blind spot?
Right.
It's a blind spot because that's what people in their generation do. They do it all the time.
Brian, I was against ADOS.
Any little thing. Little thing that they don't
Brian.
Let me finish my point.
You're not going to finish. Answer my goddamn question. How is it a blind spot if they told you what they accurately predicted what was going to happen? How's that blind spot?
That's not what they didn't predict anything.
Yes, they did.
Oh my gosh.
No, they didn't.
All right. Okay.
They didn't predict anything.
Wait. But Brian, what did you say your parents said?
All they said was, see, well, let me put some context to it.
No.
Answer the question.
I have to put some context to it because
Brian.
I was already telling them.
No context needed.
Brian, we're not going to do that tonight, right? What did your parents say? Answer a direct question for change.
My parents said, "This is what we always do. We always fight." That's what they said.
Exactly. And what happened?
What do you mean? What happened? I mean, they voted for Biden. That's what happened.
No.
Well, you said okay. Brian, you said that you told your parents. Okay. I'll let it go.
It's like
I'll let that go.
It's like talking to my grandson, right? You already know the answer what it is.
No.
You just don't want to be. You want to be right. Okay, Brian. Guess what?
And that's kind of bitch made.
Brian.
I'm gonna call it out.
Brian, you're right. Okay. Are you happy?
Well, this is one.
I'll just
no BGS.
It's not about me being.
No, you're right. You're right, Brian.
No, it's not about me being. It's not about me being right. You're trying to push.
Brian, you're right. Brian, you're right. You're right, Brian. You're right. Okay, you're right. Okay.
Brian, this is mathematics, man.
And this is the reason why we say you need to learn history.
Go ahead.
You need to learn history.
Who's next? We'll close it.
Okay. Go.
Hold a second. Okay. This is what we're gonna do because now I'm irritated. Okay. This is what we're gonna do. Because now I'm irritated. Me and you. Because you won't shut the fuck up, right? Me and you, okay? If you have, it says if you're as old as I am, you've seen 30 reparations movements and all bickering over each other and fighting over who's going to be right, okay? And they all fail, okay? They all fail. And you know that they all fail because nobody can agree, okay? They always split the vote. They always split the party or split the message. And then you find out of nowhere, you find one for whatever reason catches fire. Whatever reason gets national recognition because no reparations movement has ever had national recognition, okay? Ever. But you get one out of nowhere, regardless of who it is, okay? Why would you not get behind it?
So you asking B, why would I not get behind it?
In your opinion, why would you not get behind it?
In my opinion, I think you should get behind it.
You should get behind it. So why would you start an alternative faction?
I personally would not start on alternative faction.
Okay.
But
what?
But that's what humans do. Humans they have factions, they
Okay.
have tribes.
Uh-huh.
They I mean look at the Christian church.
Mm-hmm.
They have a basic tenet, but they all believe in small things or small differences. But there's factions, but they have a general consensus, and that's how I saw FEA and ADOS. So I didn't have a real problem with the faction. All right, like FEA they believe in just not voting, and ADOS they believe in leaving the executive branch blank and voting down ballot. Okay, whatever. Choose your pick your poison or whatever. It didn't matter to me. The reason why I said I think my parents had a blind spot is because they used the bickering as an excuse to not even listen to the arguments. That's what I was saying.
And in other words, listening to the arguments had nothing to do with it because the arguments at this point had nothing to do with it. What it doesn't matter about the arguments. The thing is, you have a chance to get something across that you never had before.
They got
it
across. Like you said, politicians and everybody were talking about it.
So did it make it to the finish line, Brian?
No, it didn't.
Okay. And the thing is, guess what you did? You killed this opportunity to at least make it to the finish line.
I agree. I think that it ultimately hurt the strategy. Whatever strategy, even though they were similar, I think it ultimately hurt the strategy. I think it did.
It did, right? So why? So in other words, it should have never happened. And basically, this is what always, like your parents said, this always happens because they've seen this. They've seen many reparations movements just like this happen before, right? And somebody will get some momentum, and people will get behind it, and then somebody will disagree with it and start another faction. Guess what happens to the whole thing?
Look, man, I don't necessarily
No.
disagree with you on that.
In other words, your parents didn't have a blind spot. Basically, they would. Here we go again. Doesn't matter about the points. Doesn't matter about the arguments. Had nothing. Doesn't matter. The thing is, what can you get done? So you can argue. We can argue for the next 50 years about reparations, about the differences, right? The thing is, if you don't get it across the finish line, what good does it do?
I agree, and that's why I say they have a blind spot because they didn't take the time to properly listen to the arguments. They just did what they wanted to do anyway, which was vote for Biden.
It has nothing to do with who you vote for.
Strategies had everything to do with who you voted for or what you did not vote for.
No,
yes, it did, BGS. That was those were the strategies.
Brian, listen to me, okay? Listen to me. For a second, okay? Had nothing to do with who you voted for. It's put pressure on the Democratic Party and also by proxy the Republican Party to actually take reparations seriously. Okay.
But the way they were trying to instill that pressure was to withhold the vote. That was how they were going to create the pressure.
Does it matter? Okay. When you start an alternative faction, guess what's going to happen? This one should have succeeded or failed on its own, okay? Without any interference from us. Why help the bear? Okay? Why help the bear? They're big enough.
But that's how you think about what Tariq did. That's how I kind of think about what Yvette and Tone did. I think that y'all say that Tariq has an ego, and he does. But I remember during that exchange, Tariq went out of his way not to get petty or anything. He even said, look, I don't particularly like Yvette and Tone, but their idea or ADS was genius. He even said it. and he just went out of his way, and they kept going at him, kept going. I'm like, why do they keep poking the bear? Right now he is the bear in this group, in this whatever.
Why didn't he shut the fuck up?
Because he ain't gonna do it. I mean, it's freaking Tariq Nasheed.
So,
He's not gonna do it.
so basically, Negroes will Negro, okay, and that's what your parents are trying to tell you.
And what I'm saying is, what Yvette and Tone Negroes from Negro, they couldn't see. Look, you making an enemy out of everybody.
Do you let me ask you this: how many Republicans do you think really like Trump?
I don't. Not many, especially
not many.
The older ones. Yeah,
especially the older one. They hate his guts. Let's put it that way, right? So guess what they did?
Yeah, they rallied behind him.
They rallied behind him, even though they hated his guts, right? They held their nose and voted for him anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's disagreements, okay? And guess what happened? He got elected. That's where you do things. Guess what black folks didn't do? That's why that's why your parents are saying Negroes were Negro. Capiche?
I hear you.
Wasn't a blind spot. They were 100% on the money.
Yeah, they voted for Biden.
Doesn't matter.
This was not about him controlling.
Man, you got a lot of the feminine is strong in you.
Okay. You know what, Brian? You're right. Okay. Next.
Okay, but
I would say
so. Brian, how's it that you're going to bring up? Well, you know what Tariq is knowing that it's his ego, right? But not his ego that we're bringing up. The fact that he wouldn't stand on a code. Nobody don't want him to have his ego. That's him. If he an asshole like that, a blowhard like that, that's how he do. Boss, whatever. But this nigga can at least be on motherfucking code.
Yeah. I think Jed said.
How was he not on code? He never said anything negative about
Brian. He was not on code, sir.
He was. I will say that Jed said something about the media earlier.
Go ahead.
Jed said something earlier about the media, and people care about what the media shows them. If Tariq was the bigger name, which we know he is, and he sees that ADOS got the momentum, and for a second he did back them, right? As a matter of fact, he really tried to steal the movement. I saw the original video where he said ADOS, and then somebody in the comments said, "Oh, you mean Yvette?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, shout out to Yvette," right? And he had to. Oh God damn it, they know, right? So So if he knows that they have the momentum, and like I said, for a second or two, for about a couple of weeks, he was backing them. Everybody looked like they was getting on board. It was looking real good. And then when that split happened, if you know they have the momentum and you're the name, why not just continue with that? Well, we know why. And I'll pause right there.
I believe we're missing his point. I believe we're missing his point. Whereas it doesn't sound like he's saying that, he support Tariq poking the bear. It just sounds like he's saying that, well, first, they're the ones who, quote unquote, are heading the ADOS movement, right? And you have a troll who's poking you. It doesn't make sense for them to what you guys are saying, Negro back with him. Like even if he is just talking, it's like it sounded like a good time to pull a white people and just let him yell in the air.
Well, it's called the greater good. It's like sometimes it's like this. It's like you say you got somebody and you want to hurt them. But they are beneficial to somebody you care about. So you realize that you want to get back at this person to do this or whatever. But you realize the greater good is to go ahead and just let this movement go on because it'll come out greater in the end. And that's what it should have done. Hey, sometimes you just shut up and take the lick and you take the bullshit because it pays off in the end.
And Negroes.
Right. Sometimes you got to take. I tell people all the time, because people just scared to take a fucking L. Yeah, man, I took an L today. I didn't say shit. Why is that? Well, I let him get his jollies off because why? I saw if we got into an argument right now, it would capsize this movement, and that was not the time or the place.
That sounds
and
like
that's the problem with niggas.
Greater good. That's what I was saying. Is that it just seemed like okay, he's poking the bear. Yes, it just seemed like ignore that. And I wanted to add to when he was talking with the elders.
It's nice to say, but if you have a big name in this community, guess what's not going to happen? Can't ignore him.
Mm-hmm.
I want to add to the elders thing too. Is that I get what he's saying there in the sense of now I don't know where he's going with he voted with Biden because I don't get into the bipartisan stuff. But I do think it is like, because I've had that issue too. You're talking about reparations around that time building period with the elders, and they're just like, well, Negroes are going to Negro. Well, I was like, well, I'm not really trying to get you to focus on Negroes being Negroes. I mean, we're all Negroes. We know Negroes are Negroes. Where's the energy for putting into a reparations movement?
Okay. What
Like
does
the
that mean?
conversation
No,
doesn't
no.
get there.
What does that mean, man? Because you said a whole bunch of stuff and it's all not connected. What does that mean? Connected.
So
Say it again.
what that means is that, like, if I can use like an analogy, right?
Go ahead.
If I
It helps.
I try and make it like more concise. Like if I'm coming to you with an idea, like I want to be a doctor, and
Okay.
your response is a lot of Negroes don't make it through medical school.
Okay.
That is not the same as saying you have to get this done. You're going to have to get study hours done. There's a way to get this done. Okay. And that's what I'm saying with the frustration with the elder aspect is like, you don't get past that
Okay.
part.
Okay.
Like, you're not invested.
The fact is that when you have ADOS movement, right, and then
Yeah.
basically, if you've seen a whole bunch of reparations movements, right, and then you have an FBA movement that comes up right alongside of it, and basically you realize this has killed other movements, okay, and we recognize that it's probably already over.
Well, the thing is this: is it plausible that the FBA movement was sent kind of like in a COINTELPRO kind of way to this fake movement?
Regardless of why it came up or who pointed behind it or whatever it is, because we don't have any proof that it did. Okay.
Well, one thing I can say, I do remember listening to his show when he said the FBI came to his house, and anybody know how they roll. They don't just come to your house to ask questions. They come to the house because they got something on you.
That's very possible. We're not even going down that road because we
Leave
don't
the
know, right?
speculation out there, but don't say, yeah, leave that there.
We talked about what actually happened and what has happened in the past, and the FBI didn't have anything to do with those other ones. Okay.
I will clean up and say that. I will clean up and.
Well, we have no proof of it. Okay, and that's speculation, but that is not germane to the argument that we're having right now.
Yeah, I want to make.
I will clean up and say, BJ, really quick.
Hold on. Go ahead. That's it. Hold on.
Yeah. To this whole overarching argument that we're having about reparations, I mean, it's something overarching, and y'all have heard me say this before. We get incidentals. None of us, either middle class America or middle class white America, middle class Asians, none of us get anything more than incidentals out of politics. The only people who get exactly what they want are those people like the Trumps and the Clintons and people part of that upper echelon of class. So therefore, I often wonder why we constantly divide ourselves up, because people in BGS's generation know this. They went through the fire of getting what little scraps that they could get, but those little scraps pushed us a long way. So I'm sitting here wondering, why are we infighting even at this point about what Tone said or what Tariq said, when at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who we vote for. As long as we get those incidentals, we can take some steps forward. And although I would like to have the whole pie, the truth of the matter is we're not going to get the whole pie.
Nope.
I think there's a certain level of. Go ahead, brother, because you were talking to me. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, I was just saying, to clean it up, I do agree with you guys. I think it was silly for him to create a fight. I do believe that it was dumb. And when I heard, when I was hesitant in where the direction was going, but I would not have been fool enough to pick up a rock and throw it, like that's, I am in agreement with that. Like, here's the donation money, you guys have the most momentum, whatever, I've donated to many churches that fail. Okay. So, whatever.
I think, your subscriber base, your followers, the people that rock with you, if they continue to put that battery in your back and you're not seeing through the comments or hearing like, nah, you might have went too far on this one, because I'm literally, as I'm speaking to y'all, scrolling through the comments of some of those videos from 3 and 4 years ago, right? But and like everybody's keying it up. Oh, he flamed them, and it just shows you such a lack of like understanding. Like it's to them, it's just a big spitball cafeteria fight, right? Just food fight type thing. And you're like, this is your future, right? Like, I don't know, like it's we already have the understanding of like Americans see themselves as temporarily embarrassed millionaires, but when you see black people who like their financial situation and yet everybody's encouraging to fight, you like, bro, I know you don't got it like that. Do you understand what this means for your future? Like, so for everybody to be in the comments, oh, he flamed him. It's like, bro, you're like 32, 27, like 35, 40, speaking like this, not really understanding why Tariq engaging in this is detrimental for you and your children's future.
But this is one
You
of the
know,
things
I'll
that
pause right there.
you have to know is that
It was some straight up.
Who's first?
It was some straight up agent shit. All right, if anybody ever participated with that, Black Power stuff, and I ain't just talking about on YouTube. I'm talking about out there on the block, on the Ave, doing in the work. Saying holler at the people, putting in the work, whatever. If somebody like that shows up disruptive to the point like that for a new group that already has momentum, the very first accusation you're gonna throw that motherfucker, oh, it's agent.
well.
He
This is the problem.
and this is my issue. Let me land. This is
Go
my
ahead.
issue. The fact that he let that prior to his FBA thing where he put out there, okay, now first you're including the diaspora and the flat blackness, but now all of a sudden, okay, once Tony and Yvette get their shit kicking, all right, well, I want to make an adjustment to it. That wasn't what you want before, and now all of a sudden the diaspora is the enemy. Again, that's some agent shit.
The problem with that,
and I'm gonna call it what the fuck it is.
The problem with that, Roguish Son, though, is you could say the same thing about Yvette. At one time, she was a big Bernie supporter. At one time, she wasn't necessarily for reparations. She changed her mind. I don't think Tariq is the agent. I just think that he's Tariq. He's a freaking asshole. You know what I'm saying?
But your moment is gone already.
I agree with Brian on that.
Yeah.
It's too late.
You have to. This is one of the things I want to tell you people that I said, like, I noticed that a lot of people don't understand this. I've been in a lot of leadership roles. I'm a straight up asshole. You guys know me. But like damn near everywhere I've been, I've always been in management. And I tell people, not everybody in a management position is a leader. And you realize that you see that on YouTube a lot. Like sometimes it's been plenty of things where, hey, Judge Dre would say what I'll be saying on here live. But then when it's in business, sometimes I got to bite my tongue. Sometimes I don't say shit. Sometimes you just gotta let shit ride. Because why is it? It's the greater good. And that's why I've become a very good businessman. Asshole, but very good businessman. Because sometimes and that's the problem with black people. Sometimes we don't want to take L's. We don't want to make it seem like somebody showed us up one day or whatever. We let that ego go way, like the ego is way too important with us.
Well,
White Man Can't Jump. White Man Can't Jump summarized that movie well. He said, "Well, that black dude would rather look good and would lose."
Let me say this, and I'm gonna mash out. Look, I was against $8. Right? I thought that anybody making such a perspective just for a political perspective, that's not what black people need. Black people need to get their cultural, identity in order, not just for the sake of politics, for the sake of themselves, as if there was no other people around. And if they were doing it for the politics, it felt like it was possibly, some sham within it. But I saw the momentum that it was getting, and I saw how everyone was going on. It was like, you know what, this is a proper ethos to rock with if we are looking to receive some form of a progress. And it's like, all right, I'm not trying to stop no progress.
Let me say something real quick.
Hey, stop. Somebody's speaking, okay?
Even though I disagreed, I still, I still support it. Just like with KS, I disagreed on a lot of stuff that KS said, but he still had my support in the momentum that he was doing, right? So it's like, all right, to get over your own perspective of how you feel about something, or however you might be principled against it, if it looks like it's an overall greater for the good of those who need to connect to you, and you roll with it, and that's it. I holler at y'all, man. Thanks for the sharp.
All right, go ahead.
Goodbye, man.
All right, Love Smith, go ahead.
Yeah, I think one important piece of the conversation is missing, and nobody's asking the question. Why did the split happen? The split did happen, but why? Nobody's asking that.
Well, why? We don't have to ask. We know why, but the thing is, go ahead.
Okay, so the split happened because it was about to become a Black Lives Matter 2.0 / the LGBT thing.
So what?
Therefore, it's an extension of the Democratic Party. Certain people weren't feeling that.
So what?
Wait, are you
People are not
accusing
feeling
Yvette
that.
and Tone of that?
Hey, no. No, regardless. So what? So what?
People ain't feeling that.
So what? Okay. So what? So basically, so you have a chance to get something across you haven't gotten across in 2 years, and you're not feeling it, so you're gonna go against it. Okay, that's fine. Guess
People
what
have a
you get?
right to
Well,
disregard anything they
they,
want.
they do. And guess where they are now?
Yeah, your
They're
rights
no
got you
closer
nothing.
that
No.
they're
Where are
no
they?
closer nor they're any
Okay.
further.
Well, then fine. You don't get it. So you killed your own momentum. Good.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that why do I care if the guy next to me, who I'm not even interested in, gets his if I get mine anyway? I could care less. So if the gays got something out of it, I don't care, because in the long run, if justice was served, that's all I'm there for.
Look, I'm
Well,
not trying
Hold on.
to.
Hold on. Let me
Yeah.
respond. It's this time.
Okay.
so we already saw what Obama did, and
What
nobody's taking that chance again.
what did he do? What did he
Let me
do?
finish.
No.
Let me finish.
Hey, look, dude. You said what Obama did. What the fuck did he do?
Tokenism, symbolism. Okay,
Okay.
nothing solid for the black community.
Okay.
Obama is just token.
How do
So
you
what
know?
I'm saying is that.
Oh, really?
So what I'm saying is this:
Mm-hmm.
people ain't taking that chance again.
Okay.
People have every right to feel however they want to feel, and just be like, look, this ain't a momentum, this ain't a move for us,
Okay.
and that's perfectly fine, brother.
That's perfect. That's perfectly fine. So in other words, if you don't take a chance, what are you going to get?
Don't take a chance on what.
If you don't take any chances, what are you going to get?
So if Obama got 81 million, if Obama got all those millions of votes, right,
Okay.
and he still didn't do anything for black people, right? He
You
was a
know,
black guy.
do,
He
do,
was a hope
do
and
you do you
change,
do
and
you
it
know
didn't happen.
why you didn't get much out of Obama, and Clinton told him why we weren't going to get much out of Obama as far as black people? You want to know why?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know why?
Go ahead, tell me why.
We didn't ask for shit.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a
You gotta
lie.
ask the shit to get
No,
it.
no,
Black
no.
Closed
We
mouth
people
don't
are
get
no
fed.
asking for
no
hella shit
we
with
didn't
Obama.
ask. We didn't ask for shit. No, we didn't. We didn't.
And that's
We
part of the
were.
reason why ADUS
Can I
became so
finish
big.
what I'm fucking
Oh, I'm
saying?
sorry, my bad.
Okay. We didn't ask for shit. I was one of the ones that predicted Obama winning in 2007. Okay,
Hmm.
who's gonna win? And when I talked to all the people that actually got behind him, guess what? Everybody went back to sleep. We got a black president. He's gonna do everything. We don't have to do
Right.
nothing. For 8 years, you didn't do shit. Then Trump comes in, and all of a sudden, you start asking for shit. So he's out of office.
And that's a fact. That's exactly what happened.
It's exactly what happened. Okay.
What's so
That's
bad is
why.
that hurt.
So
That hurt BGS. That hurts.
you know what? It hurt me because I was looking at it. So you motherfuckers ain't
No,
asking for shit because we were on.
Of course we ask for shit.
No, we didn't.
no, we didn't.
No, we didn't. Okay.
Well,
No, we didn't.
BGS,
Because I was involved in politics, also international politics. I didn't just get here yesterday, man. Okay.
BGS, do you think that's why ADLS became so big? Is it because I don't think there was a real black media to ask for the type of stuff that I think black people really needed. I think that's why ADOS became so popular on social
Hmm.
media, at
It
least.
it became okay.
But
You
we
had people
didn't
like
ask for
Tom
shit.
Joyner and stuff like that. You know.
Okay. Good. Well, let me know when you finish before you interrupt me. Okay.
I'm
Go ahead
sorry.
and
Go
finish.
ahead.
No, go ahead. No, finish because I start talking, you want to keep talking. So whatever my voice is, it kind of activates your brain. So go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. This is something that I learned from the guy that wrote the People's History of the United States, right? Howard Zinn.
Howard said, "Oh yeah."
He said, "This is. I wish I could find it. Right? He said in history, right? Movements happen all the time, right? People strike matches, okay, and they get most of them get put out. Like 99% of them will actually get put out, right? You strike one, it doesn't catch brush, right? It fizzles and it gets put out, right? Okay. Every now and then in history, you strike a match and it catches fire.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way history is. Look at any movement in history, right? The right time, the right place, the right moment, the right whatever, including the Black Manosphere, right? Even Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Samuels is an example of a match that got struck at the right time, the right place, and the right moment, and the
Mm-hmm.
right person, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you find a match and it catches fire, that is so rare in history and politics, right? So rare. You don't snuff it out. You don't fight against it. You blow on it. You put fuel on it. Okay, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I knew once it was dead, you basically killed whatever reparations movement chance you had for
Oh,
black people.
I didn't. I thought you were talking about Obama.
So
So you
which
talking
one?
about ADOS movement?
So which? Okay, okay. You didn't clarify
Well,
what we were talking about, man.
Well,
Okay.
I was asking you if
Mhm.
the fact that we didn't ask for anything from Obama is because I don't think black media was as it was. We didn't have a cohesive black media that truly advocated for what we needed. Whereas when ADOS came along, they saw that, and I have to give ADOS a lot of credit for this. And they
So you
brought
so do
data
you did
that
you did mention ADOS, right? That's where I got it from. Okay.
I know, but when you were talking, I thought you were talking about Obama.
And what do you think?
Obama
Okay, see, thing is, okay, this is what happens when you mix two different things, right? Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about.
Well, I was asking you if one led to the other.
Well, then why did you say that? No,
I did say
one.
that.
No, you didn't. One did not lead to the other. Okay, they're two separate things.
Definitely.
Yeah, I want to speak on this whole tokenism and symbolic thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I think people underestimate what Obama was to black people.
Yes.
And black men, because his presence on the world stage really made an impact on black. I was overseas.
Yes.
And that shit changed.
It did, and it's still changing. The Obama effect has not stopped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we can sit
Especially
here
in
and rail
schools.
against. We can sit here and rail against tokenism and symbolism, but symbolism, once you become a symbol, it becomes hard to kill you.
Kevin Samuels, anybody?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just want to posit that because I don't want people leaving with this idea that he didn't mean anything. No, he meant something to everybody, and that includes us, white people overseas, Asians overseas.
Yep.
Passport bros are right now feeling the Obama effect.
Yep.
Overseas.
Still today. Yeah.
Yep.
I want to make sure that I don't.
Go ahead. Somebody's
To me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I want to make sure that I don't make it seem like I'm worshiping at the ground Yvette and Tone walk on. But I really had an issue with what Love Smith said about this LGBTQ thing.
Okay.
I was listening from the beginning. She's never given any impression whatsoever that she would hijack the movement and take it in that direction ever, right? So and I did hear those type of murmurings going about when the conflict really got underway between Yvette and Tone and Jason Black and Tariq Nasheed. I heard those murmurings, and I had to fall back because not being ADOS, but hearing Love Smith say that, I'm like, there was no impression whatsoever. As a matter of fact, she did multiple streams going at the feminist movement and going at the LGBTQ movement for taking over the civil rights movement and divvying up whatever amongst themselves. So I want us to be careful when we say that. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Z, this is one of the things I want to tell you as a person who has run scammed and manipulated a lot of people. That's the best way to scam somebody. I'm just letting you know that. As a person who has done that, and I literally, the best scammers and the best manipulators are the people you would never expect. I was one of them.
Okay.
Literally, that's why I tell you times when I see, oh man, there's so many ways right now. That's how you do it at first. You normally do it that way. And unfortunately, in their group, that track record runs pretty deep within them. So if somebody was thinking that they might do that, I wouldn't put them past them.
At the end of the day, man. Okay. At the end of the day, okay. Regardless of what agenda she was on, who group she's backed, whatever thing. If you got something out of it, what difference does it make?
Thank you.
I'm asking. What difference does it make? If she can get your agenda across the page, across the desk, across the finish line, but in whatever form it is, what difference does it make?
I think we're starting to sound like the women that were criticizing Gabby Douglas for her hair. That's what I think we sounding like.
I want to answer. What difference does it make?
You asking me or him?
You.
No, man, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just saying, I don't care what it is. I was just saying that I was just going back on that point right there. I don't think she's had the exact issue. I think she should have shut the fuck up in the beginning.
Yeah,
That's how I agree.
we weren't feeling LGBTQ about reparations, but they have the best chance of getting reparations across. Okay.
Oh, I would support them.
What difference
look,
does it
I don't
make?
like. I'm not a big foreigner person.
Yeah.
If it was foreigners going up against and trying to help me get reparations, I would support them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, period. I like. Look, I know what side my butter is breaded on. You know, my toast is buttered on.
Yeah, basically, there's a you know, the odds you get reparations because it's a transfer of not only money but also power. Okay, and there's a whole lot of there's big waves of people, not just here in the United States, but across the pond that are against that shit. So you have this big ass rock that you got to move, right? You don't have time to divide the force, but you did. It is what it is. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Saying that you keep saying that the division was the reason behind the fall of the movement, but that really wasn't the fall behind the movement. It was the COVID, it was the Trump scare, and it was Kamala that rose up. That's what really destroyed the movement. Nothing ADOS or FBA could overcome that.
They were fighting.
No, hold on. Give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes, okay? Give me 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes, bro. Go ahead. Uninterrupted. Go ahead.
Yeah, you heard what I said?
Response. You want to finish your statement?
Oh no, that was my statement. Go ahead. You can respond.
He hit the period.
Okay. When did COVID? Because I actually told people COVID was coming before even lockdown, right?
2019.
2020 was when you locked it down. COVID didn't.
March of 2020.
2019. We first started hearing about COVID in 2019. End of 2019.
When did COVID?
They showed
to the United States.
COVID.
Hold on.
COVID got.
That was January, and then it got bad in March.
February
2020.
Of 2020, I was at the forefront of this shit.
But it was out before then.
Yeah, I'm well aware of it as well.
When did the reparations movement die? It died before 2019. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it died when you had the final wave of Trump. They pushed heavily for Trump to get out of office.
No, it didn't.
It was
yeah.
Go back and read. Go back and look at your history again. It was dead. It was dead because what happened when the reparations movement was happening and was getting questioned about it? That's when they started all those freaking mass debate in 2018. Remember that? Remember that?
Right. And they were asking all the politicians those hard questions. That's the reason why.
They were trying to drown out the reparations movement. You got a lot of okay. They're trying out this reparations movement. Okay.
But the FBA thing had nothing to do with that because, like I said, Tyreek got the FBA thing from Claude Anderson's book, the Black History Reader, with the Native Black American term. He just changed the N to an F.
So what happens when? So when did FBA come before 2020?
NBA did, which is Native Black American.
Am I speaking English?
I'm kind of lost too.
Am I speaking English? Okay.
Yeah. If you're lost, then maybe you should re-educate yourself on the subject.
No. What was the question that I asked you, sir?
You said FBA. I just told you FBA is a spinoff of NBA, which was Native Black American.
That's not the question I asked you. What question did I ask you?
Repeat the question for
You want me to repeat it? Listen to me this time.
Yeah, repeat your question. Repeat your question. Go ahead.
When did the FBA movement come about?
Came about in, I want to say, like 2020.
Nope, it did not.
It was earlier than that.
2018.
I thought it was
2019. Yeah, sometime on there.
2018.
I don't know the exact date. I don't know none of the exact dates or anything. I just remember when they started beefing, when Tone Talks and all them started beefing. I just remember when all that stuff happened down.
Well, you need to go back and review your history then, sir.
Yeah, I got my history. Tone Talks is the one that started the whole beef in the first place because Tyreek was supporting Trump, quote unquote.
He didn't support him. He just said something positive about it.
When did it start?
What you mean? When did it start?
When did
I told you the Claude Anderson stuff was in what, 2017?
Okay, man. All right. Okay. Maybe I'm speaking a different version of English.
That had nothing to do with the movement collapsing down. I told you they couldn't overcome the Trump scare and Kamala supporters. They was way bigger than anything ADOS or FBA had going for them.
It was
I actually
dead.
agree with that. I'm sorry.
It was a hot button issue, though.
It was dead before then.
You know, it was a hot button issue back then before they fucked it up.
By the time COVID came about, nobody's talking about reparations or FBA.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you had the Trump scare, you had the recession stuff going on, and the Trump scare. Of course, that supersedes anything regarding no reparations. Most black people don't even support reparations.
Dude. I don't care. It has nothing to do with that. Okay.
It does. It has everything to do with that. Just because you say it doesn't have anything to do with that, don't mean it doesn't.
Brother, you couldn't even get the year right.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
That don't matter what the year. I got the year right.
Wait, because I'm the one who made the statement.
Most black people do not support reparations.
Wait. You know? Do you understand why? Do you understand?
He's gone. He was just too argumentative.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell him the only reason we're not being combative because we're listening to some bullshit.
Ian was part of ADOS. He was actually, one of the founding members. Actually in it with the meetings, all this kind of stuff. Ian, please weigh in. Okay. If you want to, it's up to you. If not, go ahead, Ian. Please weigh in.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
Ian, this is not your voice. I don't know. He at work. He gotta be.
No. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, man.
I'm gonna start flaming you in a minute.
So what you guys were weighing in on what started the beef, right?
No. So, the thing is, why they're not even the beef. Why did FBA did the creation of FBA divide the movement and start the downfall of the reparations movement? What do you think?
I would say partly so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say partly so.
According to you, when did the street come up with FBA? According to you, since you were right in the middle of all this.
Well, that had been going for some time actually, alongside ADOS. You know, so it wasn't an immediate thing. I mean, to tell you the truth, I really couldn't say exactly, but I do know. I do know. I mean, I can say exactly. I don't know the times exactly.
Okay, give me approximate dates when it started. Okay, approximate. To your recollection, it's been a while, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that the whole collapse. You're right. The whole collapse was around 2019 or so. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was right before COVID. Yeah, everything just fell through. And what you were saying about the pushback from across the pond, all of that weighs in part, a great deal as to why the reparations movement died out too as well. I mean, really what allowed it to jumpstart back to some degree was the George Floyd situation.
Yeah.
You know, that allowed us to get some more teeth back in, into the conversation once everyone died out with the police reform and whatever. There was dead air. So now reparations is back in the conversation because there's the whole cop thing was died out, and there's no space. So essentially, but I'm gonna tell you this. I'm doing now. I went to the last conference here, one of the reparations conferences here in Atlanta. The one having to do with the reparations in California, and so you have Camila Moore over there working, and a lot of people are calling themselves freedmen now. So the real fight is ADOS is not even really in the fight anymore, really like that. Really, the fight now is between freedmen and Negroes, people who want to call themselves native born.
So we have another group.
Yes.
You can't make this shit up.
You cannot make this shit
I heard
up.
about that group.
Yep.
I heard about that group.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord.
We're human beings, man. We're not
Yes.
these
And
perfect beings.
what we're trying to say, this is a constant thing, right?
It's always
That's
going
what I'm
to be
trying to
constant.
tell you. It's constant. You have two groups fighting for power again, okay? Negroes with Negro. But what is what it is.
I think a lot of this stuff
Agreement.
is owing to the fact that the Black American culture is so damn young, and I have to go ahead and posit that amount because we were invented here on these shores, so we don't have the history going back to Europe like white folks got or what the Asians got. So basically, we have nothing. So with us being so young, I expect this type of infighting for at least, well, if we last the next 50 to 100 years, then
We won't know. Once genetic coding comes out, it's over. They're already producing babies in Japan.
right,
It's,
which they better be doing because damn,
yeah.
I mean, what
Yeah.
they're below 1, are they?
No, that's Korea below
Oh,
1.
Korea's
Not
below
quite there yet.
1.
Yeah.
But my take though on the
Okay.
ADOS situation was this, because I got kicked out of the local chapter here
Yeah.
in Atlanta because they were on some kind of feminist type of energy type of
Yeah.
shit. So
Yeah.
when I say
let
partly,
me ask you real quick, just as an aside, right?
mm.
Would you classify Yvette Carnell is if not outright intersectional feminist, something close to it?
I would, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, I just want to say that because somebody had no, she's not. I said okay,
Wow.
just because she's pragmatic and she knows what she's doing as far as governing. Okay, makes a good point. Doesn't mean that she's not what she's not. I pick up that vibe all the time, and you're the ones that actually hit me to it. I say yes, she does kind of have that vibe. But anyway,
She does. She
yeah,
does.
yeah.
She does. And partly what she said flat out,
Mm-hmm.
because actually ADOS, the term ADOS came from a friend of mine, Marlon Watson.
Okay.
He started the first ADOS chapter in Chicago.
Okay.
He actually suggested for Yvette to use ADOS because what happened was Yvette, Tone, and what is the guy from Smith College? I forgot his name. He was the president of a college in Kentucky. Cosby. Yes. Okay. They went to a reparations conference with DOAS.
Okay.
Because DOAS had been around 10 years before Yvette got started. So
Right.
they changed the lettering around because DOAS was on some they on some religious they're a strange bunch of individuals, right? Kind of, sort of.
Okay.
And so, so they basically got a lot of their information from them going to a conference and learned a lot about it from what they were doing. Because, again, they had been going for like 10 years, but they hadn't really been making any noise. And so, and a lot of the pushback, too, that destroyed the movement was the beef between Narcan and Cobra. And if you guys know
Yeah.
who they are,
Yeah.
And they're more Pan-African leaning separatists, black separatists, and so what they essentially were able to do, and have been able to do, they have a grant, like a $3 million. So there's a grift going on, and what happened, and partly the pushback with Yvette and Tariq and whatever, they understand that there's money in this because they what they realized was, like what you were saying, is we probably might not get reparations, but we can get some organizations like Narcan and Cobra already have and get like a custodial position where we can get grant money in lieu, because the Democrats would be like, okay, the government would be like, okay, we can't give y'all motherfuckers reparations, but we can give the major groups monies, right, to kind of pacify their membership, which is essentially what Narcan and Cobra have been sitting on their hands because they've been getting money. They've been getting millions for God knows
to keep
how
their
long.
mouth shut, huh?
Yeah. That's what. And so Yvette was like, shit, let me kind of, move in that lane. And so
And I think it got bigger than she thought it was going to get.
Yes, of course she did.
Yeah.
Yes, very much bigger than she
It
did.
caught fire. You know.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she did. Yeah, Marlon, because Marlon used to have real conversations with her and Tone, and she really didn't believe in it the way she taught. She's an excellent. She's one of the best fucking teachers on the planet. I'm gonna give her that, but she really is not. And so that kind of you kind of get confused because she teaches like a monster, but her heart really is not in it the
She's
way.
a pragmatist. Okay. She
Yeah,
is.
she's a strange. I don't. She's a strange individual. You know what I'm saying?
We'll take another minute to get other people in, but I wanted you to talk about it because you were actually on Insider. So
yeah.
And you know, what I was saying is, this is my impression of it, right? Basically, it started off, and I don't think Yvette and Tone meant it for it to actually get as big as it was. But once it caught momentum, caught fire, let's ride it because it's rare, okay?
Yeah.
And the thing is that, like I said, once things catch fire like this, which is rare, you know, ride it and see where it goes. And we have to, but like Negroes go Negro. I want my name to be on it instead of her name on it because I want
Yeah.
my piece of. And that's what happened. So it divided the movement and basically
Yeah.
it all came apart. You know,
Yeah.
it all came apart.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely it came apart just like that. And like you said, the other forces involved, Narcan and
Yeah.
Cobra,
Yeah.
the timing, you know, the world, like you said, the world don't want this because this would shift the whole paradigm of the
It
world.
would. It would, and once you divided the forces, you gave them an opportunity to kind of break things up. I said, "Oh, I saw the side of relief with the Democrats, especially, man. They said, whew, that was close. That was close. Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway,
Yep.
yeah. Anyway, go ahead and finish your thought, and then we're going to go to who was it? Who wants to be next?
I'd like to go
Shark
next.
Sims.
Well,
I
you've
get to
already
go yet.
spoken. You got other people.
Okay.
Yeah, so and it's funny because what happened was you had Ice Cube that came in on this reparations because actually Ice Cube was instrumental in convincing the governor of California to sign that reparations bill over there, and he in his contract for Black America he has a reparations package also as well, and so he was like, okay, let me go to Trump. And so that was part of the pushback with him because they will kind of call him a sellout because he's going to Trump. See, what happens is if you go to Trump, that kind of cuts out the feminists and all the liberals and shit out of getting this shit because if the Republicans and Trump were going to give the money, they're not gonna dole out no program for decades just paying money. They're either gonna give it to you or they're not gonna fucking give it to you. And so that's part of the pushback from going to Trump. They're like, okay, you're gonna cut out the grift. You know what I'm saying? You can cut out the BLM type grift if you go that direction.
All right. Who wants to be next that hasn't spoken?
Right here. I ain't get to speak yet.
Who's this?
Shark Sims.
Okay, you got 2 minutes, bro. Go ahead.
All right, copy. Thanks for having me on. My question is to you, BGS, and anybody else who want to chime in. Is it possible that Tyreek Nasheed and Jason Black are COINTELPRO?
It's possible, but we don't know.
Because it was real suspicious how all of a sudden they just came up with this FBA shit, and then Jason Black jumps on Tyreek shit with the FBA, and I'm like, we were so close. We were so, besides everything you guys were saying, because y'all was saying some stuff I never thought of, but we was real close to putting foots on neck, and then all of a sudden he comes up with this shit. So I was like, maybe he was sent to just railroad something that took off and nobody thought it would take off like it took off.
It's possible.
But we really weren't close. We really weren't close though.
Were you part of the movement, Leon?
No, but I'm just speaking from just
I know,
an
but
opinion.
you got somebody that was on the inside.
Oh, go ahead. Let him go ahead.
Yeah. We really weren't close though. You know what I'm saying? We weren't nowhere near close. We were trying to get HR 40, to pass, and we were trying to put pressure on them to pass, and that's just a study. You know what I'm saying? So we were You know, we were talking about reparations for the next generation. Actually, you know, what I'm saying that was the forecast, and us not getting reparations in this generation, but the next generation getting reparations because HR we still trying to get HR 40 to go. You know what I'm saying? And so and they're on their heels about that. So we weren't close to anything really, except for if there was an executive order. Now that was part of the pressure. Possible we were going two ways, either possibly get HR 40 and get it through the legislature, or possibly if we can put pressure on the president, whoever that was, to do an executive order to get reparations through. But that's
you got a follow up
Now,
question, Shark?
because from my perspective, as a 43-year-old man in America, conscious and being in the loop and watching everything and understanding certain things, this is the strongest movement I ever seen. And I'm not saying like because you just said like things, but I'm talking about people that ain't never thought of, like people on the street level that never thought of these things. They was actually reaching normal people. And then the fact that they had a platform worldwide as YouTube. I never heard of some of these other factions like Cobra and the ones that you was just talking about, how you guys was trying to get HR 41. I never heard of these things. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that they had a gun big enough to shoot a bullet, I was like, yo, they shooting this shit all of a sudden, and it's moving. You
You
got
got
people.
30 seconds. Okay.
They got little they got people. They got ADOS factions popping up over here, popping up over here, popping up over here. I don't like to say I feel, but what I seen was like this shit could really do some damage if everybody jump along, and then all of a sudden your man just kicked the what BJ says, kick the chair kick the
Yeah.
chair from
Yeah. Yeah.
underneath it.
Yeah. That was my impression.
who you say
I just
kicked the chair? Who kicked it?
Tariq.
Oh,
Tariq.
okay.
I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to keep it short on that point.
You guys
I
got
think
30.
it's
You got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
we know what happened to the guys in Black Lives Matter with the gun charges that they got, but I just think it's weird when the FBI is not harassing a black guy in a movement. I'll just leave it like that. So I don't support it, but I don't talk against, FBA or any movement. But I just find it weird.
Okay. All right.
Nah,
Who
I've
hasn't?
seen I've seen the I've seen the police come and get drug dealers to take them
Okay.
in, and he not
All right. All right.
arrested. He just
Who?
giving
All right.
information.
Who hasn't spoken? Who hasn't spoken? Okay.
I haven't spoken
All right.
yet.
Go ahead. Jump in. You got 2 minutes.
You talking to me?
Yes, you, sir.
Okay. I wanted to throw in there that there is a missing element to this whole thing with Yvette. And part of it is at the time she broke up with Boyce. And I kind of think at that time Boyce and Tariq were cool. And Boyce kind of pushed that along a little bit. And it all kind of worked out at the same time. It was like a lot of stuff going on. And that added to the whole thing of pushing Yvette them out. I also would say somebody said that they think it was COINTEL. I disagree wholly. I definitely think that Tariq just has a big ego. Tone and Yvette, they started something. They did their thing. Tariq brought people to, and people saw Tariq and they followed him. But I think that Yvette and Tone were a little bit frustrated by that, and that has blew the whole thing up. Nobody really trusted Yvette anyway because of the Dr. Cress Wilson thing, and that's what I got to say.
Okay. Who's next? Hasn't spoken.
Yeah, I haven't spoken. What up, though, BGS?
What's happening?
What's the guy's name that was that you said was a part of the ADOS?
Ian, he's right there.
Ian, hey, what's up, Ian?
What's good? What's good?
I had a question for you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I remember years ago talking when Tone and Yvette used to do lives together, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember asking the question, okay, y'all really focused on this, doing it politically, right? I'm like, okay, but what about if it doesn't work? And Tone got mad. Talking about, and her. Like we ain't talking about that. We ain't talking about if it don't work. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm on some shit like whether it happens or not. I ain't gonna use the term financial literacy, but I'm gonna say whatever the fuck you got, you need to know how to utilize whatever you got coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Spend less than you make, type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they were against that. Did you hear that type of conversation when you was in there?
Well. Here's the thing, because what we called is what we were calling that do for selfism, because that was kind of the enmity, the fight between Yvette and Tone and Boyce, because Boyce is a grifter, right? We found that out early because Boyce actually was the tool of some Asian dude. A lot of what he got, he didn't do. He didn't create a lot of the shit he has. He didn't create. Yvette created it. Michi X helped him create it, and this Asian dude was getting Boyce to push these financial literacy cards for children and all this. So and we found out the Asian guy says, "Yo, let's I want to take advantage of black people with this financial literacy shit." And Boyce was like, "Yeah, I can fashion a message, to black people and charge $30 for these cards for children and shit." So I mean, financial literacy is good, but the point is, if you don't have any resources, financial literacy is not necessarily of value in that sense, because really no other group really was like, okay, let's do financial literacy to bootstrap themselves up. They got money first, then they found out what to do with the fucking money. You know what I'm saying? That's that's really
Yeah, and that
how it
seems
works.
like that was the narrative, right?
You got
And
another
it
30
seems
seconds for this. So
and it seems like that was the narrative of. That's why I say I didn't want to use that word, because we get triggered by a lot of fucking words, right? But I'm just saying, I'm ADOS, right? My people come from down south slavery, right? Motherfuckers ain't giving me shit. I'm working for white folks, and I'm trying to save some of my motherfucking money, and I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? I wanna pass that on, even if the reparation shit don't even come about. But it seemed like they was
15
shooting
seconds.
that down with trying to compare it to what the scammer Boyce Watkins was doing.
Right, right. But there's other things
15
involved
seconds, Ian.
in that, because really, with the demise of the family, right? Financial literacy ain't shit if you don't have no family to build their wealth, the current family and extended family and the next generation. If you can't do that, and the black community is shot as far as the family goes, you can have all the literacy you want. That's to that one person, but the family and building a community is, economically it ain't happening until we socially fix ourselves. And that's why I'm in the black manosphere. I came to the black manosphere through ADOS, because I'm looking at this shit and I'm like, damn, this shit ain't gonna work because these bitches ain't right in the head.
Oh, that's a good point. Who wants to get in and hasn't spoken?
Well, the one thing I want to ask BJS,
I'm here.
When we gonna get our check?
Never.
Right. I have a question to the gentleman. I'm a big Francis Cress Wilson fan,
Which
and
gentleman? Which gentleman are you speaking to?
I can't see his name totally, but he's a
You
gentleman that was
talking about Ian?
speaking.
Talking about Ian?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of hers, and what are you saying that they used against her? Because I've read her book. My mom has her book. I done watched plenty of her lectures and stuff. And the only thing that the left I can see using against her
Is there
is her saying,
a question in here?
yeah. The only thing I can see the left using against her is, her saying that, they're trying to turn black guys gay or into trannies. But what did they say about her that you were talking about earlier?
Okay, I forgot. Actually, I had forgotten about what she said exactly. But I know, I know there was another TikToker recently that did something against Francis Cress Wrestling. You gonna have to jog my memory.
With talking about the what it called the LGBTQ.
Homosexuality?
Yeah, I think there was a TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she's Frances has never been for. She's not against it per se, but she's not really for it. LGBTQ. And
Yeah,
she's
she states it. She's basically saying, they're gonna take your man, talk your boys into being gay or trannies, and it's gonna take the fight out of them. And
yeah.
that's the only thing. That's like they're trying to kill everything she said based off of that point of view.
But she
Yeah.
was totally
And I was
right.
just wondering, I was just
Mhm.
wondering if it was connected to that pretty much.
Was she lying?
What
That's the
what was
question.
what
Oh
did
no,
what
Yeah,
did
no, she's
Yvette?
lying.
one time. The thing is that I don't know what that has to do with anything that we're talking about, but
I was just asking because he brought it up between,
oh,
them talking about her. So that I was
oh,
just asking him because he's closer to it.
well, she is she is LGBTQ, so
Yeah.
There you
she
go.
would have a little slight disagreement with Francis Cress Wilson. It
Wait,
makes sense.
Can I ask another? Say another thing real quick.
You got about 30 seconds because
I
uh,
what Ian said about the families forming. I always
mhm.
found it funny that Yvette Carnell and Tone Talks never got into the topic of black people getting together as couples to create families because families is the foundation of
They
wealth.
did. They've done it many times.
I never like when they
You
was
have
doing. I watched
you.
a lot of
If,
their videos.
in fact, in fact, the piece I played, she was actually
Yeah,
alluding to
that's
that. Yeah,
that's the first time I ever heard her doing that. That's what I'm trying to
she
say.
said it many times.
Yeah,
I can
she
say
did.
that
She did say that. She did.
many
She
times.
actually. Yeah. She actually. Yeah.
In
She did.
fact, Tone actually talks about that. He's talked about that many times, because he's along with Zoe Williams. So they've been
Yeah, I
talking
seen
about that
those
for
shows.
years and years and years and years. It's not the first time about family formation.
Because I'm like, we talking about politics, but we don't even have families to move anything forward. And I was always like, y'all, I think y'all like skipping a
It's
step.
so in other words, okay, let's talk turkey, right? Okay. Family formation is nothing but organizing people, right? And either you do what? Either you put policy in to actually advocate for that and actually push that across, or you put policy in and actually start destroy it. What have we done over the past 60 years?
Destroyed it.
Destroyed it with what?
Yeah, with a lot of the policies that
With
they
the
have put in
policies.
place.
So to
Yeah,
fix it, what do you have to do?
get some better policies.
Policy.
That's
Policy
one.
equals what? Politics, right?
Yeah,
So your
because I
child,
never heard them.
no, your child
My fault.
support. She was just talking about that, about child support and single fathers that not earning enough money, right?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you on that video that you played. I was real
She
surprised at hearing her come in like
and
that.
because you haven't heard her enough. You hear snippets of what she's saying and
No,
what they're saying.
I listen to Yvette all the time. I remember when she was with Boyce. I remember when her and Tone used to do videos together. I remember when they stopped doing videos together, but they would reference each other's video. Like I listened to them for a long time, and then when I got hooked on, when
Uh-huh.
I started messing with you guys, I realized I said, "Wait, hold on. What they talking about can't be done unless what the Black Manosphere is talking about needs to be done is done first."
The thing is, they have a different idea about how to go about family formation and laws and stuff like that. But I've heard her many times and Tone many times talking about this. Okay, but you got to remember also, guess what? Somebody doing something in the background, like loading a gun.
Sound like somebody rolled with dice or something.
No, yeah.
But what you were
Well,
saying? Sorry about that.
in other words, the Black Manosphere has a different idea about family formation. But the thing you got to realize, guess who the bulk of the people in that in these organizations are? Are they Black men?
No,
They're Black women.
Women.
Okay, and even Antonio Moore has to tamp down his advocacy for Black men because that's where they are. Why do you think Ian had to leave? Okay,
Get the fuck up. But he said that because it was feminists in there.
it's
In the
feminists
Atlanta
in
joint,
there,
yeah.
and basically it is what it is, man. So when you
just like
Like
that
dude,
video that you captured, BGS, right?
yeah,
That Tone took down.
yeah,
I remember that.
yeah. That's the whole thing. You got to remember, when you're doing politics about organizing people and factions and stuff like that, how you get things done. That's part of the landscape. You got to be sophisticated enough to actually maneuver these people around. Okay, what do you want to get done? Who can help you get it done? And what kind of lever do these people have that can actually get what you want done? It might be the feminists tomorrow, it might be the white boys, feminists today and the white boys tomorrow. Okay, you know, we know we us in the white manosphere doesn't always rock together, right? But on certain things like the agenda that Dr. T put up, okay, 80% of that is what we want. We're not going to allow them to help us.
Of course.
Of course. So when you talk about politics, that's very right. What she did in particularly in this video, she's advocated for black men before. This is not the first time, and Ian can tell you that it's not the first time. Not the first time.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe I missed them videos.
Well, maybe you need to. You know, perhaps I don't know. You know, but I've heard them talk about it before, and Ian's been, you know, intimately a part of that organization in them. So, and he's heard it. So, I mean,
I trust your ears.
Well, not to the point that we would like it because we're further to the extreme of it, you know. And she said so because she considers us as the dark underbelly of YouTube. So, you know, it is what it is. But thing is, I'll take that. We're effective, you know, and they know it. That's how come they mention us. Anyhow,
can I piggyback off of what you're saying, BJ?
Okay. This is part of your closing thoughts because we're getting ready to wrap it up. So go ahead. You got a minute.
Cool. So, I heard somebody earlier say something about, you know, guys are not going to want to get together unless there's some females in the room, right? I think that got something to do. Well, my question to you is, do you think that has something to do with the whole gynocracy thing that you're talking about?
Yes.
Because
yes,
it's the gynocracy and how we perceive value.
Right. How we're trained and how we think. But go ahead, finish your thought.
And I think I agree with you on that because you know I think that's one thing I can respect about the black manosphere, even though I've never been a part of it. My life is a part of it. You know what I'm saying? I like the nomenclature. Well, I could respect the nomenclature, right? That's why I came up with a term like M&M, right? Matriarchal males.
Okay.
It's associated with the gynocracy.
It is, yes. Yeah. Or
and that's what we are. And a lot of us don't want to, you know, admit that and try to work through that, because I think that's what precipitates sayings like what the guy said earlier, that we can't come together just with each other, right? Because we already know if males build something, the females gonna come.
They are.
Well, why the fuck we need them there?
Look at Passport Bros and what a year later, Passport Sis now. Yeah, it happens.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Closing thought? Who else? Who's next?
No, I'll go. BTS. Oh, go ahead, Liam.
Who else? It doesn't matter.
And when we say black brothers coming together, I sent Dr. Johnson a little clip of something that happened, and you know, when we say black guys coming together, that includes all black guys, you know, no matter how they identify sexually. So when that gets included, you'll watch a lot of conservative brothers kick those guys out. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not realistic to me because you just have a small group of guys that aren't even in proximity to each other, most likely. So
well, it's not practical because of the way we're trained and things like that. The white men can do it, and they have done it, but I think it's almost impossible. I've given up on trying to do that in the black manosphere. I tried, we've tried it, it doesn't work, and it's impossible. I don't even think about it anymore. But here's what it is.
You gave up on what? Say that again. Sorry.
In other words, trying to weed women out of the black manosphere, you know, even in the corners. We tried that, try to ban women, try to exclude women. It doesn't work because guys are just going to include them, bring them back in anyway. So, you know, it's like fighting the ocean, right? Water's going to come in. You just have to navigate. So, anyway, who's next?
Yeah, I'll go. This will be my last point. I think the one guy that called up, even though I think he was wrong about a lot of stuff, I think he was right about the fear of Trump and having the first black female vice president were larger than a reparations movement. And I think that goes to Ian's point where he was saying that we weren't even really that close. And one thing I learned from the 2020 election is that advocacy on social media only goes but so far. So to AUS's credit, I think that the way they're moving now with the chapters is a good idea. And shout out to Tariq too with the reparations rally. I think we just need more boots on the ground. I think you need to do things locally. And I'll sign off. Thanks for having me up, BGS.
Good luck with that, Brian. I can tell you.
I feel you, man.
Been doing this too long.
I hear you, man.
Been doing this too long, and more than just on this continent. So, good luck with that. Anyhow, who's next?
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, yes, closing thoughts. Go ahead.
Okay, my closing thought is I really like what Yvette did with that video, and I don't understand, especially how Black women don't get it, because it feels like being in a house with your brothers and sisters, and they go out the house and find the biggest bully on the block to fight their brother from in the house. That's why there's like a line of distrust. I'm an educator, and I see every day the results of what's going on, and it's not good. You guys don't want to see what's going to happen 5-10 years from now. It's going to be bad, and I'll leave it there.
I believe it. You can already see the seeds of it.
We already know.
Yeah, we already know. Who's next?
Close out.
Oh, okay. Let me say this.
Is your closing thought then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
go ahead. I was going to make you last, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Oh no. Go. Oh yeah. No. I'll be last. I'll go.
All right. Who's next?
Let me close out real quick. To the guy who just spoke before me, we're talking about he's an educator. Honestly, I don't think Black men realize that we're dancing with the devil. And I
think we do.
We red pill brothers and black pill, we might, but a lot of times I don't really think we understand what we dealing with, and not we, because the rest of them don't understand what they're dealing with. And as far as he's saying, like in a couple of years, what it's going to look like, it's already dead. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus, they all turning over in their graves right now. Everything they fought for and spoke for and got hit in the head with rocks for is thrown out the window.
All right.
That's my closing statement.
All right.
And thank you for BGS for all the work you do.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man. I couldn't do it without you. All right, who's next?
I'll close out. Per usual. Yes, sir. I don't want to get too dark, but as usual, man, you're underappreciated, underpaid. Obviously, I understand you're not here for the money, but time is time. My thing is, I'm gonna continue. I guess I'm gonna continue until something happens with that curriculum. Okay. I think you and the PhDs. I mean, I don't care how guys feel about it. It's required, because once you get out there and you start talking, you need to know exactly what the hell you're talking about. Period. And especially when you're at the bottom, when you really don't get chances, like if you don't know what you're talking about, like it's a wrap, right? Yeah. So that alone, I think is one step. That's one thing, and the other thing is with a lot of these guys, man, getting emotional about the women and the Black women. It's like you know who they are, right? And it's like you need to step your game up in the regards of not even reacting in front of them, like at all. It's like, okay, I know what you're about, and you just keep it pushing. Like, I mean, like because you just don't have, we just don't have the time, man. And I mean, that's my closeout, man. We just don't have the time, and guys, again, just need to step it up. And like I said, man, your generation, that I know a lot of guys aren't gonna like what I'm saying, but your generation, that across the board, man, it was just higher standards.
Yeah, and also the way we were taught differently, because they handed over the school system to the feminists in 1972. That would have been Generation X, first generation of Generation X. So they're going to actually think differently. So it's what it is. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Anybody next?
Yeah, I'll close out on that one. I agree 100%. We need that curriculum. I'm signing up immediately. I'm just a star saying I appreciate what you guys do here when it comes to talking about these topics and things of that matter. When Ian brought up, it re-jogged my memory of, that's kind of, I started getting hints of that, where you're trying to create it. You're trying to create it seemed like an institution was being made
Yeah.
for sale. And I only throw this in here, and that's why I appreciate the Black Manosphere of you saying that we're a bunch of stray cats, right?
Yes.
What I actually live around. I have a lot of stray cats in my area,
so you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And when I think about our politics, it's like, man, the politics of stray cats are the frustrating thing about being around all these cats, right? They do serve a purpose, but you notice that they're here because I walk around in these people's backyards and they have milk and food out for these stray cats to eat on.
Yeah.
And that's why they're here. And when I think about the Black Manosphere, that to me is like the politics of Black men, is that for the most part you're going to be able to leave out milk. Some of us are going to leave out the real good heavy cream, and then you're just going to have to be able to just leave that out, because if you create institution historically, I'm ready for critique on this, it always seems like it's for sale. It's going to be for sale if you're prepared for it.
Eventually it will be. Yeah. There's a very good. I think I did it. I might put the video back up. It's called what quickly called from I think from instrument to institution. In other words, something that actually was built to actually solve a problem, gets sold out and actually live for itself. So when we build institutions, they start living for themselves. They self-perpetuate for aggrandizement. So I think that's what you're talking about. But go ahead. Finish
that's what I'm ending on, is that, this idea of being comfortable with, maybe that is what's part of the politics of being the permanent underclass, is that when you say we're going to create institutions, no, it's going to be for sale.
Yeah.
All right. And you're going to have to be comfortable with the fact that leaving out that, that milk, that metaphorical milk, the best you can is probably the best you're going to get, or else it's going to get sold, and just get comfortable with creating a system of developing. And I'm out on that, BGS. I appreciate what y'all do.
I think what Ian's saying about them getting sold and becoming an institution, I think that initially that's probably what it was. But the thing is, it got way bigger than they thought and started the movement. And basically, they said, "Oh shit, it caught fire," so they got behind it. So you get lucky sometimes. I think we got lucky, and I think we missed an opportunity. Some people may not feel that way, but I think we missed an opportunity. Okay, who's next? Who wants to go? Anybody?
I think that's good night, sir.
Okay. If not, I'm gonna let Ian go. I think Dre, you got a closing thought? Yes, no? Okay, I guess not. All right.
Well, it's like always, may the force be with you, niggas.
God, we need a force, okay? We do.
But for real, man, I saw the lady asking weird questions in the chat room. But it is what it is, that men are being honest, brutally honest. The politics, what Yvette feels about Black men, how Black women feel about Black men, it is what it is. You just gotta love being Black. That's all I gotta say, brothers.
The thing is, Felicia doesn't believe she's a gynocrat, but she is.
Well, she can vote wherever she wants, as long as the system pays her. But that's going to soon run out. So beware, Felicia. Beware.
She got to come. She come in here. You got to remember, Black men have belts, okay, and we can take them off at any second and start beating her ass with it. So.
Well, we can't advocate domestic violence. Oh my God, you beat me. I said, if your father beats you,
corporal punishment is not domestic violence, sir.
I said, baby, you never got beaten by a belt before.
Corporal punishment. You come in, you not get the switch out. Pick your own switch. But anyway, okay. Did you get your closing thought, Leon?
Yes, sir. She's gonna call Zaddy on y'all. Y'all better be careful.
If Zaddy can bring his ass up on in here. That's all right.
Zaddy get his work regardless.
All right. You got the last word, Ian. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I really started spotting trouble was when Yvette had suggested that we all jump on board with Byron Allen's case against against Comcast.
Yes.
Okay, so he used the 1866 Civil Rights Act to leverage against Comcast for not involving a large portion of Black people in the media contracts.
Right.
You know, where a lot of black people are essentially left out of that because the government is supposed to evenly dole out contracts. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because it's government oversight.
Right.
So he sued all the way up to the Supreme Court, and so
Yeah.
when she was getting the call out, some of us, a lot of us have supported him. Some of us even went to the Supreme Court, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and protested and different things. But black women, though, that were in ADOS were like, we're not going to support him because he has a white wife, right?
That's what
I wanted to
happens.
say it.
That's what happens when you deal with gynocratic institutions. So it is what it is.
Yes.
I wanted to say that when he was talking, but his wife is white.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but that's
What
what I'm saying.
your point is with this.
Yeah, the point is that's besides the point of whether or not what the point is, if he had won with the Supreme Court and and was able to reinforce the 1866 Civil Rights Act,
It
that
helped
would have
everybody.
meant, that would have changed the world for black people that would set a precedent across the board. But yet and still, instead of looking at the big picture, black women were still interested in their narcissistic pussies. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That,
Negroes are going Negro. Yeah. That's what happened. Yeah.
and there were many cases, that fucking because here's the thing, because listen, I didn't, like I said, I didn't come to the manosphere until I started seeing all this fucking bullshit. And I'm like, yo, how are these bitches? We're supposed to be for listen, of all things, reparations is supposed to bring black black men and black women together. And I kept seeing the black women get divisive on some really petty shit. You know what I'm saying? To the point that they were willing to tank whatever the fuck we were doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it didn't center around them, and it didn't cater to them. And so that's to some degree who Yvette is. You know what I'm saying? She was willing to tank the whole reparations project just because she couldn't be centered in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that like when I started seeing all that, I'm like, oh, okay, this is where we're at. And then they kicked me out because
Well.
they were afraid of me being a leader, because I came in and and they were following my lead.
Yeah.
And they saw that as a threat. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. You weren't on board. You weren't part of the hive. Yeah.
BGS, can I make a request from you? Send them the divester videos, man. Just send them the videos.
The divester videos.
Just send him what he's talking about, pretty much on the internet, decentering men and all that type of shit. And he'll
Oh, okay.
fully.
Okay. I think he's seen it. I think he's been
Yeah,
around
he's
long
seen
enough.
it in person.
He's seen it. He's been around the investors. He's been around. You just don't see him a lot. That's all.
Yeah. I'm heading out though. You have a good night. Thank you for
All right.
coming up, sir.
All right. You got another minute, Ian? Go ahead.
Yeah. So so essentially, like I said, the division that I saw with black women being petty and still being on their feminist bullshit. There was one time there was a sister who was from Jamaica, and we were going over the book. We were her property, and
Okay.
so
Oh yeah.
and so her come away with it was, okay, now I can restructure my relationship with white women, right? And I'm like, yo, that's not the point. That's not to improve your relationship with white women was not the point of knowing that they were fucking slave owners, right? Yo, and listen, they and really on the national level, that's when they really started hating me, right? Like,
That's
like,
pretty good.
oh, okay, because I gave her pushback. I'm like, yo, that's not the point of this shit, right? I was on Twitter. I remember I was on Twitter. They fucking tried to fucking hang me, you know what I'm saying, and cut my throat after I gave her pushback on that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So then, listen,
That is hilarious. You got to do something on Twitter with the voice Twitter with that, man, because that's hilarious. She took away from to actually restructure her relationship with white women. Really?
Yes.
God damn. Okay, man, you can't make this shit up, man. Jesus
Yes.
Christ. Anyway, go ahead, D. You got 30 seconds, man.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead, close us out.
and so listen. So like I said, man, because I understood how relationships were, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't get the nuances until I really was in a black man. But from a political standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, this, you know, that was my red pill. You know what I'm saying? When I saw that she was willing and they were willing to tank everything, you know what I'm
Wow.
saying, just to center themselves. And again, you know, Yvette was part of that. You
Yes.
know, I mean, she was willing to take, you know, part of my angst with her is because when the George Floyd thing happened,
Mm-hmm.
she sat on her fucking hands
Mm-hmm.
because she didn't want to highlight the man, a male,
Mm-hmm.
as the prominent image of the victim,
Yeah.
right? That's actually really how it really ended because she wanted to sit that whole. They sat the black women. They sat that whole shit out, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
They sat it out. I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, you don't see how police brutality against black men is part of this shit?
Yeah.
It's part of why we need reparations. They totally ignored the shit, BGS.
Yeah, I understand because the Negroes gonna Negro, right? You know, and
Isn't that Stephanie Jones Rogers, BGS?
who?
That book they
Oh
were
yeah,
her.
they were property. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you see her only book covering? Because you know that's on the internet, and it made sense on what the brother said when he was talking about.
I do have the book. The thing is, what he's saying is that instead of reading the book for what it was, right, about she was her property, that white women actually owned slaves and they're just as racist and as white men. That's the point of the book, right? The other woman took it as a way to actually become in sisterhood with white women. Okay,
That was my point.
Yeah.
That in that thing where a lot of white men and white women were in that room, because she was talking about it, and they asked her questions about that book, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
And when it came to them criticizing white women,
Mhm.
you could feel her tense up, and she like, well, you know, I don't want to.
And you know that everybody knows what side of the bread the butter is on, and everybody knows it. And that's what we're
That's
talking
crazy.
about.
That's crazy.
Which is why they don't like the underbelly of the black manosphere, because we are calling it out, and they don't want us actually lifting up the sheets. You know.
But you know, it's interesting.
And,
We just
real
I
quick.
bought that book.
Go ahead.
And you know, and let me say this one last thing. And
Go ahead.
two,
You got 30 seconds.
Yvette understood that for the movement to succeed,
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't, because we as men, we wanted to be leaders for once and for all. Okay, this is going to be the first movement where men could be the part of the leaders and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But she understood, and as rightly so, common sense. If black women aren't the head,
Mm-hmm.
nobody's going to take it fucking serious. So that's partly how and why she would never do that, because she understood, okay, that's a fail. If you got mostly black men leading this shit, the larger dominant society is going to give all the pushback it can against it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's part of, you know, politically she was more savvy than we understood.
She's very pragmatic, extremely pragmatic.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So she was never going to allow us to lead, because she's like, you gonna fuck up my shit, and just so you niggas can get your shit off, though.
That's part of it. That is definitely part of it. Go ahead, Chaos. You got the last word.
I own that book. I haven't gone through early, but I will say, is since you mentioned her writing it, if you have a way when you write the truth about white folks, and you have and you go in front of white folks, and you kind of bog down, and not showing yourself in regards to actual truth, that tells me, lady, maybe you should invest time writing that book, because when you write books like that, they're gonna come at you. They're gonna ask you questions.
So you have to
because remember, ask her yet, because their history.
Well, regardless of what you say, how the interview, the thing is, the book will stand for itself, and you have to have the courage to actually write the book.
And so that means when you write something, you're going to have to take all the licks for it too. Think about when you get your book out, you're going to be taking licks too, BJ, when you release your book. So you know it comes with territory.
Well, the thing is, the difference between my book and basically anything else, basically my information has been vetted over the past 8-9 years.
Okay.
Vetted. So you can argue against it, but even the people that don't like it, when I actually put them to the acid test, guess what? Turns out to be true.
Oh, BJS. Oh, let
Yes,
me
sir.
get a shameless plug to the Freedmen.
Okay, good.
Clarence Thomas. They
Mhm.
just struck down. You can't have race consciousness in consideration for admissions and things
Mhm.
for
Oh yeah,
higher
yeah.
education.
Yep.
But here's the thing: in the Supreme Court case,
Mhm.
the one guy who you wouldn't realize that actually threw us a bone, but
Okay.
not through race, because
Okay.
basically strict scrutiny is going to come with a racial consideration, right?
Okay.
And so that's going to get thrown out in any consideration. But what he did say, under
Mm.
Freedman is a status,
Okay.
right? Under Freedman, you can get everything as far as race that you wanted under race. You can
Okay.
get it under the status Freedman, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
so
Oh, okay.
yes,
Okay.
and so when you read his his synopsis, he
Okay.
says that
Okay.
in Ketanji Brown they mentioned Freedman.
Okay.
Freedman can bypass all of the racial barriers, right? Because actually the Constitution is against racial consideration, white or black, and it
Okay.
was a double-edged sword written into it, right? So when we were getting these racial things, it was
Mhm.
actually against the Constitution to get racial consideration. But
Okay.
now we understand, and so white people like, okay, they finally let white women have a little of the affirmative action and color
Mhm.
black people, and then now they're stopping it, but they're still open, so reparations can and everything can go forward under Freedmen,
Okay.
right?
Okay. What?
So
What? If it's written up, man, send it to me so we can
okay.
look at it. Okay. Because
Yes.
we
Yes.
really don't have time right now because trying to get my ass to bed right now because we're
Right.
almost 4 hours in. Okay. All
Gotcha.
right.
Gotcha.
The old man needs his rest. Old man
Yeah.
needs his rest, man.
Let me play this real quick because I actually want to show this something I made for Dr. T. So if I can pull it up. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I need to put it as a bumper. So where is it? Come on, kid. There we are.
Jammed into one album.
I'll put it on the list.
But now I'm cool. I didn't make it bad. Playing by the rules. I come up hard, babe. But now I'm fine. I'm taking trouble, sugar. Moving down the line. I come up hard, but that's okay. Trouble man, don't get in my way. I come up hard, babe.
All right. That is advertisement for Dr. T. His book is on Amazon now. Let me thank some
Beautiful.
people, and let me thank some people, and we're gonna get out of here. Passport OG, thank you. BM Rock, thank you. Cyrus, uh, thank you. Uber said Uber for Brian. Okay. John B, thank you. Bill Reed, thank you. And Milton, thank you. And then CK, thank you. Did I get everybody? Emmanuel, thank you. Okay, that's it. All right, folks. We're almost 4 hours in. I hope you got your Yvette Carnell worth. I didn't mean for the break out into a reparations talk, but I guess that's what happened. So until next time, folks. Off code got his in. Until next time, folks. I will see you guys. So peace out.
Peace.
Peace.